Dan Scheid. You're a physical therapist, educator, entrepreneur, and so much more. Who you work with disabled athletes, elite performers, dancers, and people recovering from serious physical issues. What do all those worlds have in common, and what did I miss?
Yeah, so I one of the unifiers in all of the populations that I really enjoy working with the caveat that I truly do kind of see a little bit of everyone. My practice is pretty unique in that it's mostly sports medicine, but I
Hmm.
have some direct access capabilities too, and so I get to work with like my parents and some
Oh,
friends. So it's like it's that, but the ones that I've specifically like put energy, attention, and like, tried to really, access more specifically they're all just crazy motivated. They just really want to be there.
mm,
So like between the performing arts side, the disabled athlete side, and then I also get to work with a decent amount of combat athletes. Like the percentage of like soft humans in that group is like 0 to none,
yeah,
almost none. So that's the cool part. It's everyone. There's some unique movement patterns for sure, but the unifying factor of just like they want high performance, they want to get better. All of that is extremely pervasive throughout like all facets of their rehab and recovery and performance. And so like
cool.
that's what keeps me going. It's that energy for sure.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, so for those that don't know, can you explain how we know each other?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and I will say, you've also with all my head stuff, you've also helped me, and I don't mind you talking about any of that as well. So I think
Fantastic.
we got to know each other a little bit more through that, but that's not how we met.
Yeah, yeah. So like, thank you for like disclosing that as a PTA. I want to make sure that I'm like very diligent with all of my patients, information. And so, you disclosing that allows me to kind of talk more into it. But I started, I believe it was last year, correct? For at Iron Core, which
I
is
think it's been a couple years,
a couple
but
years, so
maybe
2,
3 years.
3 years. Oh wow, I am really off on that. So,
Yeah.
um, I yes, time flies when you're having a good time, right?
Yeah, right?
So we met through Iron Core. Iron Core is my adapted strength and conditioning organization. I helped start that when I was, last year undergrad. So I believe that was 2019 when we got rolling the first time.
Oh, wow.
And so, um, as you were like one of the participants, and so like I admittedly, and this is the good and bad part of my role as like a director co-founder, is I get to see everyone, but I don't get to work directly with a whole lot of people. Like
Right.
it very infrequently do I get to actually run a full session with someone. I'm doing a lot behind the scenes on the coordination and like the training and management side, and not as much on the direct like one-to-one athlete coaching
Yep.
side. And so like when I someone like a coach for some reason is not our like spring break times, because we run off the collegiate calendar, when they're gone, I'm like, wait a sec, I actually get to work with someone. So it's a party. So we got to know each other intermittently through that. But then this past year, there being like, having that symptom exacerbation during one of the sessions, and then getting to work with you more one-on-one in like the full rehab capacity.
Yeah.
Unfortunate that we had to do that, right? I mean,
Yeah.
that's never what I want for people coming out of Iron Core, because injuries do happen, but we try and minimize them as much as possible. But we're working in performance, and so sometimes when you push your body to the limits, like it pushes back a little bit.
Yeah.
But now having been able to work with you and like at least, if not move the needle entirely by myself, get you to the most appropriate providers that can,
Yeah.
like that's definitely part of the job, and like equally important for me as all the other aspects.
Yeah, yeah, you definitely helped with, like, I sought out physical therapy on my own, after I saw a primary care physician and neurosurgeon, and you definitely helped kinda point me in a couple other directions as well that kinda led to some good things, and then the different exercises that we did, I think definitely helped out a lot, so,
Good.
it was good stuff, and then I forget something happened where we're like, "Hey, we should hold off for now."
Yeah, it's more like in specific like rehab in general, right? Like something that I a lot of my job is just like load management, and it's figuring out like what is the appropriate dosage. Like it's like finding the entry point to a progressive return to whatever people are doing, right?
Yeah.
So finding like, hey, what are the things that we're able to do? And like one thing that I'm actually really grateful to you is that you helped me initiate the telehealth bridge in my practice that
Oh,
I've never
yeah.
been able to do before. Because so like in your specific case, right? Like the transport being one of the most aggravating symptoms for concussion, you were like, can I do a virtual visit because we would have an additional 20 to 30% a time and energy available to do rehab
Yeah.
if you didn't have to spend it on just getting to the clinic.
Right.
And so I was able to kind of work that back end with my like current management and get that in place. So now I have that for any other patients that might need it. So like
Yeah.
that was awesome. So thank you for helping.
Yeah, you're welcome, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. And it was one of those things where I think the first couple visits, it was necessary for me to come in because you did, like, the Epley maneuver on
Yeah,
me
yeah,
and stuff like
we had to
that.
see some stuff, like, in person,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. But eventually it was like, all right, well, I you can direct me on the things that I need to do and all that. So the other interesting thing, like from an exacerbating symptom standpoint, like I was like, Dan, can I start working out again? And can I go back to Iron Core and whatever else? And you're like, well, let's put you on the bike for 3 minutes, the hand bike.
Yeah.
And, like, after the hand bike, man, I couldn't believe how bad my symptoms got just from
It's
doing
yeah.
the hand bike.
It's really tough, especially in, like, head injuries, right? They are as much a metabolic disorder as in some cases, as much a metabolic disease as it is like a neurologic one,
Yeah.
and so because your brain takes such a large something up to 20%, of your daily metabolic load,
Mm.
when it is injured, anytime you're doing, exercise or creating, like, a, physical load above baseline, your body has to shunt the resources towards the physical load versus towards the brain. And so
Oh.
that's where it seems really discouraging in some cases to people with these, concussions or other head related injuries because like you just have to put your energy into basic existence more because the thing that directs traffic for your entire like existence is just not firing on all cylinders, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So that can be hard for some patients. Is just like, so you're telling me the thing I do consistently per day is 3 minutes on a bike, and then I do some like head churns, and like that's all I got.
Right.
But sometimes that can be the entry point, and it's also tough because if you overshoot in head injuries, then it's not helpful at all. Like
Yeah,
it will send you right back to baseline, and it can be very difficult to progress
yeah,
towards eventual return to normal existence if you're not able to find the right starting place and you're just always doing a little bit too much.
yeah.
And that can feel like, especially based off of like someone's norm, if if what the correct dosage is so much below the norm, that can be really defeating for a lot of people,
Yeah,
completely understandably. But we try and phrase it that like, hey, this will get better. It's a process.
yeah.
And like I hate that as much as everyone else. I like immediate winning.
Yeah,
So sometimes you just gotta work the process. But
yeah.
overall, hopefully that's what gets people where they need to go.
Well, and then the other interesting thing, I'm stubborn, and so like I'm like, oh, I'm fine, and like when we were doing things, I'm like, yeah, I'm good, and my symptoms are getting worse, but at the same time, I'm like, I'm fine, and like I just remember what one session, like I was like out of commission for like 24, 36 hours
Yeah.
after, and like I was like, oh, okay, and so I think by this point. I am taking like vitamins and minerals and certain supplements right now that I think are helping, but I'm also getting better at recognizing when I'm about to get over that threshold so I can
Yes.
stop.
That's fantastic. That like awareness is huge too because um when you find the threshold, you can work right up to it and then like you're saying not overshoot it,
Yeah,
and the working right up to it pushes the needle long term. Like
yeah,
not going above and beyond and doing it to the point where the recovery is like 24, 36 hours. Like the thing that I absolutely hate, and unfortunately sometimes it just happens in the early phase when you're trying to find what is the exercise entry point, but with any condition, not just, concussion, musculoskeletal, surgical, or just like in the, in most of my groups, like the performing artists that are dancing all the time, or like the runners that have these like long term, like stress related injuries. It's like if whatever you're doing sends you into a recovery that's just too much, pulling back is certainly the move. And so,
yeah,
yeah, and it sucks too because like in performance, especially, we always want to be like on the bleeding edge of what we're
Mhm.
gonna, what's gonna make us better, faster, stronger.
Yeah.
But sometimes what is gonna make you better, faster, stronger is getting it to the point where your recovery ability is quicker in between sessions so you can get more sessions in. So
Yeah,
that
yeah.
like that load mitigation or load management aspect is probably the most significant mental component of my job. And
Mhm.
then the specific exercise selection and like the rehab plans, if they follow a good overarching load management strategy, everything else falls into place pretty quickly.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Cool. We can talk potentially about getting back into this. You did ask me what the most recent doctor said, and I missed something that we can. It's irrelevant to the podcast. Nothing that I'm like uncomfortable talking about,
Sure,
but
sure.
we can talk about after the episode. Um, for those that don't know who you are,
Yeah.
who are you other than the things that we just kind of mentioned?
Oh, geez. I am like ragingly extroverted, and
Yeah.
so that's a part of it. I legitimately love almost all people. Some
Yeah.
people suck, but most of them are pretty great.
Yeah.
That's a pretty like pervasive underlying aspect to my entire personality and existence. But like one thing that is so motivating to me is agnostic of because some people and this is not a bad thing at all, but they love like the really like top end, like a lot of my colleagues, they love being at the very top end of the 1% of performers,
Yeah.
and that's sick. Like
Uh-huh.
in my world, the one I'm more familiar with in the performing arts side is like it would be Cirque du Soleil, or on like the Paralympic side, like the Paralympic athletes,
Yeah.
or in the combat sports world, like UFC. Some
Yeah.
people, their entire like existence is how do I get to the absolute top and make these people perform like at the very, very apex of what humans are capable of. That is incredible to me. What
Uh,
I am what motivates me more is not necessarily being with people who do the craziest things, but getting people to the top 1% of what they are able to do,
uh,
right? In some cases, like for example, like the UC dance team, they're one of my big crews. They just won a world title. And that was one of the
whoa.
coolest things I've ever been a part of. Like I
Yeah.
got to go down to Florida and watch them for that. And they took like a world championship in hip hop. And that was just like that was incredible, right? But what is equally cool to me is like our little 8-year-olds in Iron Core that come in with, you know, minimal physical capacity, right? And then they're coming out and they're like, by the time we get through our 9-week cycle, they're zipping around cone drills and doing
Yeah.
crazy stuff. And it's like for that little 8-year-old, they are at the apex of their performance. And that like delta value from beginning to end is just so cool to
It
me. So like agnostic of what is the level of competition, bringing people up to where they feel like they can compete and do the things that they want to do really, really well. Equally cool in my
yeah.
like experience.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. It's interesting. I've tended to be, like, one of those people that, like, does the elite performing thing,
Yeah,
and until Cincinnati Tennis Foundation, I probably would have told you I wouldn't like to work with, like, people that are more, like, cognitively, um, that have cognitive issues, let's
sure.
say, but those are some of the most rewarding groups that I've worked with. Like,
Yeah,
it's so fun to see their faces and, like, even, like, the blind and visually impaired community and, like, doing the things with them that I've done tennis related has just been, like, so rewarding. So I get that, like, trying to get somebody to be their 1%. I really
yeah.
like that phrasing, so
It's like and then in because I've been in it so long, I have the, like, distinct pleasure to be with people who are at the top of their 1%, which is also the top 1%, like, the best example, Micaiah Green, who's just an incredible human, like, her backstory is not mine to share, but I'm sure she's out there.
mm,
She just won the Flying Pig 10K for the 2nd year in a row as a hand cyclist, and then the Flying Pig for the first time ever had hand cyclists in the half and full marathon, and in the women's category, she won that too. So I got to be her like bike escort for that.
nice.
That was just sick. Like that was
Yeah,
so cool.
yeah,
And so she is at the top 1% of everything, but watching her cuz she's been with Iron Core for a couple years now and she's always been stupid motivated. Like
uh-huh.
that is just being around that and as like an able-bodied person, I have 0 excuses for anything. Like, the second I think of Micaiah on anything, it's like, well, like, whatever I'm worried about is nothing compared to what this person has gone through and the motivation that they bring and like the energy that they bring to their day. So that's a significant motivating factor for me is just all the people that I get to be around in the adapted community.
Yeah.
Like the fact that I get to work with all of you and share in your story is not lost on me at all.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So an interesting thing you said that I'm curious what you have to say about this. So you said, "Oh, whatever she's been through, I can't imagine. Like I've got no excuses for my own life."
Yeah.
Something I'm paraphrasing, but something
Something
like that, right?
similar, yeah.
And I think one of the interesting things is I think we live in a world where we're very visually focused.
Sure.
And you know, I had somebody, an able-bodied guy on my podcast who said that when he was growing up, he didn't know when his next meal was gonna be.
Yeah.
And I was thinking like, you know, you take a look at him versus me being in a wheelchair, and you think, "Oh, that guy in the wheelchair had a much worse life growing up because I was born with spina bifida." And it's like, I don't know, it's interesting to me to think about, like, I never had to worry about when my next meal would be, and it's
Sure.
we it seems like we get a lot of our inspiration from those physical cues
Yeah.
instead of the somebody who you maybe need to get to know a little bit more and figure out that they've had a crazy life.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know if you have any thoughts on
No,
that.
so, like, the my this is one of my favorite patients I've ever had. It's for me, because I'm a physical therapist, I think it is more my, opinion and or, like, approach is more tailored towards that because I do
Yeah,
work in the physical so much, so you're probably right. But, like, not necessarily she's not full long-term disabled, but it was this, like, 50-year-old lady, and she's the nicest human I've ever met, and she got shot in the knee in a
whoa.
in a in a drive-by, and she was just caught in the crossfire. Like, this nice, like, old she was, like, a grandma, aunt, something at this, like, family birthday party, and she walks in well, doesn't walk in. She crutches for day 1, right? And it was, like, straight through the knee, so it was like a fracture fixation, so
Yeah,
she got better, but day 1, her thing was, "Alright, yeah, this blows," and, like, to most people, like, that's, like, a horrific injury, like, I can't fathom experiencing that myself,
right.
but she comes in, she's like, "I got a wedding in 3 months. I need to be super drunk and able to dance at this thing." And I was like, "Sister, let's go. Like, let's do this thing." And so our entire rehab, she's like on the table still, like I'm taking off the surgical dressing and like this is our goal. And so like for, 2 months, you kind of just got to put the knee back online. And so we were doing normal knee rehab. But like the last 3 weeks of our rehab, we did the wobble like every time. Like it was like progressively more ridiculous versions of it. So like day one's just, moving around a little bit. Then we brought in like high heels and we were doing it in heels. And I was like, all right, you are cleared to wobble as a very inebriated human. And like
That's awesome.
that was our progression. So like on a, on like a back end story side, I don't know if that fully fits the question, but that's something that I think about pretty consistently as far as just like people with interesting backstories that
Yeah.
just because you would think caught in the crossfire just wants to get back to, live and work. She's like, nah, dude, screw this walking and going to the grocery store thing. I want to dance the wobble drunk as crap wearing high heels. Like,
Yeah.
that's it, man.
That's great. Just out of curiosity, you mentioned you're an extreme extrovert. Have
Right.
you ever heard of the DISC assessment?
No, what is that?
It's do you like personality tests?
Kind of, sort of, yeah. I try not to like extrapolate them above what their statistic validity gives because I
Yeah,
don't want to silo people into one category without like we were saying, considering the other facets of it. But I
yeah,
feel like it can be informative, right?
yeah. So the DISC assessment is one of my favorites, and from what I've gathered, it's not statistically like it's
Sure.
probably like a lot of the other, but like my employer, they do a lot with the DISC assessment and stuff like that. There's other employers that have too, but essentially, I would guess on the DISC assessment, each letter DISC is a specific like it's a definitive characteristic,
Oh, sure.
and you're all the characteristics, but you generally gravitate towards one.
Oh, yeah, sure.
And so like you have DI, it's a circle, and so you have DI and then SC on the bottom. And DI at the top is basically like someone who's more fast paced, like will react, and then as they come across things, they'll adapt as they do. The S and the C are more like a little bit slower paced. Before they do something, they like to think about all the possibilities and stuff like that. And then you have the left and the right quadrant, and the D and the C is more like non-people focused and things focused and stuff like that, and the S and the I are more people driven. And so you fit into me, a fast-paced, people driven, which means you're an I.
That sounds right to me.
Yeah.
I'd believe it, man. That's
Well, and especially with everything that you've got going on, I think that just speaks to an I. But anyway, the reason why I brought it up, well, maybe not the. I was curious what you were. I think you're an I, but one of the cool things from a employer standpoint that the disc assessment teaches you
sure.
is like, so for those slower paced people, I like to make decisions and just run with it, right?
Yeah.
Those slower paced people might, like, if I set up a meeting with someone saying, "Hey, I want to run an idea by you," they might want the idea ahead of time to think about the idea before they're able, they want to speak on it.
Sure.
Or afterwards, before we come to a conclusion, they might want to read through it or ponder it for a day or two before they say, "Yeah, let's go this route. I'm on board with this," or whatever else. So it's a really cool way of like kind of figuring out like who people are and maybe how to adapt towards that person to the best of your ability.
Sure.
So anyway, very passionate about. I love different personality tests. Strengths finders is probably
Yeah,
another that
yeah.
you're
I think
familiar with.
I've done strength finders at some point, probably back in grad school, but yeah.
Yeah. Strengths Finder is another one of my favorite ones, and I imagine in the performance space, Strengths Finders is a pretty good one because it talks about your top 5 strengths and stuff like that.
Sure.
Anyway, if you weren't here today, where would you be?
Oh,
Here in
geez.
the studio.
Oh, I am currently moving, so I'd probably be
Oh,
like hiking stuff from Fort Thomas to Delhi.
okay,
Yeah.
awesome. All right.
Yep.
Congrats.
Or yes, actually, our my family's studio, Moss Performing Arts Academy, has one our our audition only group is doing their musical today, so I'd
Oh,
probably be hanging out at the theater too.
okay,
Yeah.
cool. Wow. Yeah, you have your hand in so many different buckets.
It's
It's
awesome.
pretty
I get
cool.
like I very rarely will have a weekend where I don't have an opportunity to do something, which I've loved that I've
Yeah.
engineered it that way. And it's like a good and bad too, because sometimes like when I work in, sports and performing arts, all of the cool stuff happens on the weekends.
Mm.
And it's like if I went to every show for the performers I've worked for, I would never leave a theater. If I went to every game, I would be in gyms
Yeah.
constantly for the rest of my life. So it's like it's tough. And to anyone listening to this who is some way involved with me, I want to be at all of your things. I promise. I also have to sustain it like a marriage and like some sort of life. So
Yeah, yeah,
that's where that comes from.
yeah.
I want to be there. I assure you.
Yeah, it's funny. So you like to be busy,
Very.
very,
Yes.
yeah. Me too. And with this head thing, it's like it's making me go a little crazy with
Yeah.
not being able to be as busy as I like.
Sure.
So most of my weekends now are like I'm not planning anything because I don't know how I'm gonna feel and all
Yeah.
that. Not to be a Debbie Downer or
No,
anything, but
it's tough. I mean, it's a significant lifestyle alteration, and like
yeah,
one of the parts of rehab too that I wish we were trained more in is like the psychological aspect of it. Which
yes,
you figure that out probably. That's probably the most on the job learning because we spend so much time just like in textbooks and like this is the clinical best thing to do versus like how do you treat the person in
yeah.
addition to the pathology.
Mm.
So I'm hoping as far as like PT education goes in the future that there's more. I would love like a couple straight up classes through the psychology department,
Yeah,
like integrated into the rehab continuum
yeah,
because you're rehabbing people as much as you're rehabbing limbs, right?
right,
There's
yeah,
you got to treat the whole person. So
right.
that part is legit, and I hope as a profession we can do more to appropriately prepare our patients for what things will feel like and what these like my hopefully in majority of cases temporary lifestyle modifications will look like so that you can get back to all of the other ways of living life and your true expectation of what like normal or typical would be.
Yeah, I love that. What's something people assume about physical therapists that's completely wrong?
Oh, geez. Um, I ha I don't wanna sound like Obi-Wan Kenobi right now, but, like, as far as assuming, like, everyone, the superlatives, like, the everyone and always wrong, but in the majority of cases, if you have a PT that's doing it right, we don't enjoy the pain that we cause patients, but hopefully, hopefully it's I've noticed like, and you'll hear this actually in most medical worlds, but especially like kids that have medical parents, they're always talking about how they have to be like on the brink of death before they go to the doctor, like that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And it's in our case, we understand in certain pathologies, right? There is like a hurts so good kind of thing where it's like sometimes there is no pain no gain, sometimes there is if pain bad, like don't push it.
Yeah.
And so if in almost all cases, if we are prescribing things that are uncomfortable, they're in order to create, like, the best example I can think of is a lot of post-op cases, right? You have a lot of scar tissue that will build, and so the process of breaking scar tissue is not a comfortable one at all. But
Uh,
the reason that we harp on range of motion, especially just something like knees, ACLs, right? Um, you harp on that so much because if you don't, your knee locks down and it is a whole other set of issues down the road. So it's like, I don't like making people hurt, but in
yeah.
some cases, it's an uncomfortable process with a significant benefit down the road. And that's where it goes. It's on us better to explain like this is intentional discomfort prescribed for the specific reason of achieving this goal at this point,
Yeah.
right? Like I think it's really interesting. There's some study where um, exercise, right, when imparted by a third party, is much more, it's taken completely differently than if it is initiated with like some self-efficacy or agency.
Uh-huh.
It's a mouse study, and I wish I just had like a person on like on Huberman that can just pull the studies and put it on the screen.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
this is definitely a real thing. And so I think what we can do is take some of the agency, like before prescribing crappy exercises that feel terrible,
Yeah.
explain exactly why they're being done and to what goal they are achieving. I
Yeah.
think that might help move the needle for some people to be like, okay, I'm taking control of my rehabilitative process.
Right.
This might suck now, but it is for a much better goal down the road.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. What's something you nerd out over that most people would find boring or
Oh, dude,
they wouldn't like, let's say?
electrophysiology. So like I started in engineering. Actually, I started in electrical
Oh, I
engineering.
could totally see that.
Yeah, yeah, most people can. Um, but when I started, like, undergrad, I would think I thought I wanted to do, like, biomedical device development, because I love everything about, like, biometric monitoring and electrophysiology,
Okay.
and realized I liked people a little bit more than computers, and
Okay.
so switched into, like, the health-facing side, and through a certain series of things ended up in, like, the PT rehab route, but something that I love incorporating, and a lot of PTs, when I say, like, whole body electromyostimulation, they're like, "Yeah, cool, bro, whatever." Um, this specific technology, it's a group called Photopia, and I've worked on and off with them basically since 2020 when they started. It is a whole body, so, like, in most people, they're gonna be familiar with either a TENS unit or like neuromuscular e-stim where you put like the pads on the muscles and it
Oh,
causes them to contract,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
That is an incredible way like to bypass bodies. Cause like back, I mean, think like evolutionarily, right? Surgery wasn't a thing until the last, we'll say like 400 years. Good surgery wasn't a thing until the last like 70 years. No, probably more than that. But um, your body doesn't understand the difference between like a legitimate accident and a surgical insult. Because what does it know? Yeah, I got cut into. Yeah, there's a weird thing. I'm gonna send a bunch of swelling to an area. And the initial way, like 500 years ago, if you got hurt, what things would do is they would just lock down. So imagine you like racked your elbow on a rock.
uh-huh,
It gets really stiff because if there's a fracture there, the only way that your body can naturally repair the fracture without surgical fixation and manipulation of the bone is by not moving it, giving it time for those like osteoblastic processes to happen and for the bone to
uh,
remodel in some kind of straight way, right?
yeah,
And so fast forward now, we do all these complex surgeries where we go in and create all these good changes, but the body's response to them is still exactly the same. And
uh,
so you have this thing called arthrogenic inhibition, where I'm going to use a knee just because it's common, but it happens in all parts of the body. your quadricep muscle after knee surgery basically turns off because your body's like, "Hey, something bad happened. I need to stop the movement here because I need to heal it," right? What
Ah,
we now know is the faster we can get that quadricep muscle back online, the more normalized all of your gait patterns are. Same thing with like bicep, tricep in upper extremity surgeries or shoulder surgeries.
huh,
And so using eStim to augment the amount, it basically bypasses your brain's natural defenses where it's like turned off the muscle and it creates a localized muscle contraction agnostic of what your brain's saying. And so that is like the typical way that PT has approached this, and it's extremely effective.
huh.
One of the newer technologies available now is that was actually started, I believe, around 1970 in the cosmonaut program for the Russians. The Russians got this going where when they would send guys up to space, um, there would be like there's no gravity, right? And so the human body is extremely dependent upon gravity to create resistance and bone modeling and all those things. And so what they noticed is people were atrophying extremely quickly, like with no
Mm,
load, like muscles just liquefy. I mean, imagine like laying in bed for 1 to 2 days, you just feel like crap as is, right? So
right.
like imagine that over an extended period of time. So the principle there is using like whole body electromyostimulation where you have these muscle contraction producing pads on like a lot of the major muscle groups, was a great way to prevent or delay that atrophy so that cosmonauts could be effective. Fast forward, the Rocky movie with, like, Ivan Dragunov where he's, like, working out with all the wires on him?
Yeah.
That is it. That is the same technology, but it
Ah,
was really clunky until, I don't know, I think it was somewhere in the late 1990s, maybe the, like, mid-2000s
yeah.
when they were able to take that technology from either just extremely high performance, like Olympic training, the Rocky movie, or the cosmonaut and astronaut program into something that's kind of consumer
Yeah.
based.
Yeah.
And the first group, I believe it was Miha Body Tech, they started where it's kind of like a dolphin trainer looking neoprene suit, but there are those eStim pads on most major proximal muscle groups. So you have like pectorals, you have abs, low back, mid back, upper trapezius, arm, like bicep, tricep, quadricep, hamstrings, glutes. And so you do complete typical exercise with this augmented electric muscle stimulation that can be, in my personal experience, really, really effective
Huh.
for helping, especially neurodegenerative populations, MS, Parkinson's, just have more muscle contraction in general and normalize movement patterns, better metabolic demand, better exercise result. This is new technology, so I
Mhm.
can't speak to specific protocols, but just anecdotally, the combination of really good quality rehab, exercise science, like all of our best knowledge on how to get people better that way, in combination with these newer technologies is where I want to see the field go. And so like, as I've already nerded out for probably 5 minutes at this point, I could go forever on this, but like electrophysiology and using electricity to augment human performance is definitely my like weird niche thing.
Yeah, that's fascinating. So I have 2 questions. One, I is so one is I haven't really researched, like, what the astronauts do. I haven't
Sure,
heard of
sure.
the atrophying and whatnot. But, like, is there do they put on these suits and then they also do, like, resistance training
Yeah, so
and
you
stuff like
do
that, or
all of the exercise looks almost exactly the same, and this is one of the good directions that the technology is going. You used to have to be wired to something, so you'd have this big, like, umbilical cord looking wire that attached you to a suit with, I mean, you had, like, a 10-foot radius around, so you could generally move, but it was prohibitive for jumping and more, like, sport performance specific motions.
Right.
Excuse me. Now there is, better much like there's wireless hardware, so you have this suit that's essentially autonomous where you wear a wireless battery pack that allows for essentially, um, like sport matched movements
Oh,
whilst being stimulated from the eStim, and also the wave parameters are becoming much more specifically programmable so that it's not just what it used to be. Is it used to be 4 seconds on, 4 seconds off of like basically like a muscle hypertrophy setting. So it was good for contracting muscles at like 70% max, and then it helped build muscle, and that was about it. Now you can have it to where it's a really intense contraction for like 3 seconds and then off for 30. So you're targeting more muscular power
okay.
and strength instead of just like muscular hypertrophy. You can pull the intensity down quite a bit now and do more muscular endurance to where like you can get on a bike, you can run with this additional, muscle stimulation. So
Huh.
the more programmable parameters in addition to good exercise science principles and just like a good basis of like exercise selection, can create some pretty fantastic results in my experience. And especially like I would love there are some additional considerations, like logistically, just in like the adapted population, but there's no reason that the suit couldn't be worn on upper extremities, and the same principle applied to, core and upper extremity for maybe a lower body disabled person. So
Interesting.
the possibilities are endless, and I just wish I had about 36 more hours in a day. So
Yeah, yeah, right.
there's that, right?
Yeah, interesting. Along the same vein, but not really, is like grounding.
Okay.
Do you know? Have you ever looked into like grounding? And it has to do with electrical currents in your body. And I'm just
Oh,
curious what
oh,
your thoughts are.
yeah. Admittedly, I have not looked into that as much.
Okay,
Yeah, I was gonna make some kinda joke where you, like, put some piece of metal and then stick it in the ground, but I'm not gonna go that route, but, like,
that's
no, no,
basically it,
that's
though.
that's it, right? I know, I know. I mean, here's the thing, with all of these, we'll call them alternative approaches, right?
Yeah,
It's not alternative if it freaking works.
yeah,
Like, the acupuncture, best example, right? There
yeah.
is it's been around for how many thousands and thousands and thousands of years, and just because, like, white people in America didn't, put a paper on it, doesn't mean it doesn't work, right?
True. Yeah,
And so, there's what I'm really excited about, and this has been going on a while, but I might misquote this, but it's something similar to, like, at the NIH, it's like the Institute of Complementary Health or something along those lines, where they are lending legitimate credence towards the study of alternative medicines,
yeah,
but if they've been around for so long, there has to be something to them, right?
yeah.
I'm always here for more rigorous validation in, processes and treatments and all of that thing, but I don't see why we shouldn't study every option
Yeah.
and see if there's credence to it, and if we can lend some scientific validation to these, like, overarching principles that have probably been prevalent in population for a really long time, and we've just never had quite a way to explain that, so I'm always
Right.
really excited when this new data comes out, validating things that we've kind of known for a long time just
Yeah.
without having the hard data to support it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, so like there's like grounding sheets, right? And the
Sure.
grounding sheets are like you plug into the ground, the ground plug of your outlet, right? And
Okay.
it's supposed to like basically ground your body. Another way to do it is just sitting in the grass, right? And it's supposed to like I don't know
Yeah.
level out your electrical circuit or something like that. And
Yeah, admittedly, I'm unfamiliar with the any of the data on
no
that, but, like,
worries.
I'm not saying it's not legitimate, I just don't know it offhand, and
Yeah,
so, like, a
yeah,
little
yeah.
bit more research is certainly warranted, right?
Sure, sure, yeah. Yeah. Anyway, it just has to do with like you're electrocuting your muscles essentially,
Sure.
and what you were talking about, and the grounding is like kind of like taking the electricity almost out of your body, if you will, grounding it, and
Yeah,
all.
yeah.
So
We,
that was the connection.
interesting, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's very fascinating. Let's I'll do this. Everybody, welcome to the Rolling Forward podcast. It's a podcast of people who keep rolling forward no matter what life throws at them. Real people, real stories, powered by purpose, resilience, and a drive that never ends. I'm Zach Sikora. Spina bifida didn't stop me. It just gave me a better excuse to sit down while I take over the world. Today's funny shirt is uh Today's funny shirt is, let me get the camera on me, is Rolling with the Punches. It's a guy in a wheelchair doing boxing, hitting a bag. And this is a Zach Sikora original. You can get this at rollingforward.printful.me. You can find a whole bunch of different shirts on there, including like the brand logo and a bunch of other funny disability shirts. Again, that's rollingforward.printful.me. Also, I wanna earn your subscription. So if I've earned it by the end of this episode, please do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. I also love hearing your comments. So if there's anything that you disagree that Dan or I said, we want to hear it. We love the debate and
I'll throw down.
the
I'm here.
discussion. Yeah, right. Like fact checking all the data that
Yeah, please fact
Dan's
check
putting
me.
out.
I think all of it's right, and I don't wanna be wrong, so if there's something different, I'm all here for the correction. Please, please.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But anyway, let's keep rolling into today's episode
Yeah,
still.
for sure.
Um, Anyway, yeah, the ChatGPT kind of helped me write that,
Sure.
and like the spina bifida didn't stop me. It just gave me a better excuse to sit
Dude,
down while I take over the world.
hilarious.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah, right. It made me laugh some. And then all right, so let me ask you the theme podcast question. What keeps you rolling forward?
Yeah, it is a combination of like legitimately. This is a hard thing to justify, and my wife might not disagree, but might roll her eyes when I say this. But like, I have such a unique um opportunity, we'll call it, or intersection of enjoying my work as much as I would any other part of life that would typically be enjoyed, right? So, like, for Iron Core example, it's a Saturday morning from, like, I'm there, like, what, 10 to 1-ish.
Yeah.
That is just as fun to me as going and playing golf. Like, all these things that I get to do,
Mm,
I I derive the same amount of enjoyment from my work as most people would from doing other, quote, like, recreational things,
yeah.
and so it feels like I'm working on paper, it looks like I work all the time, but everything I get to do is so freaking cool
Yeah.
that it's just like that's it keeps me intrigued and interested and, like, mentally engaged, and, like, going through grad school is kinda tough, it's like it's hard, you put a lot of time in, and so being able to engage every part of my, like, like critical reasoning skills and finding opportunities to do things where I get to use like all parts of myself and legitimately impact and people and be in relationship with people and get to meet other really cool humans, like that is coming back to the raging extroversion, like
Yeah.
that's it. So it's like the watching other people succeed in the things that they've been working really, really hard for and getting that like kind of like, top of the mountain moment and getting to be alongside people with that
Yeah.
is like one of the most unique and cool aspects of my existence. And so like that's what I kind of work for and
Yeah.
strive for quite a bit.
That's so cool. I love that. What's one thing you still feel driven to build?
Oh geez. So many. There is I have dude, where do I start? Specifically in my like performing arts medicine world, right?
Uh-huh.
It's a very similar thing to where the typical amount of resources that are dedicated towards like high performance groups, we don't quite get that because I mean, I'm not here to like say that there's just should be money coming out of nowhere, right? Like
Yeah.
the money is a finite resource and you need to have it to be able to spend it on things.
Mhm.
But um awareness, it's not like one thing it's not one thing to build, but it's building, competency in our clinicians and, like, technical technical competency in knowing how to treat this pretty unique group
Mhm.
across the board. Same with adapted athletes.
Yeah.
Um, building this into our newer clinicians is, like, something that's been pervasive for me since, like, starting Iron Core, since starting StageFit,
Yeah.
and so that I don't think that ends because it's, like, the more people we have that know how to treat the populations that I really, really care about, the
Mhm.
better it's gonna get, the more advocacy there is, the more people who come up with cool additional ideas for other programs and other areas of involvement. So
Mhm.
I think from a building standpoint, the my biggest return on investment, like I can build individual programs and like I've done that to moderate success. But if I build awareness and technical ability and motivation and drive into other people, I
Yeah.
think that's what's going to give us the largest yield.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. And I love specifically the Iron Core. So we'll get into a lot more about Iron Core later.
Yeah.
Um, so you said you love everything that you do, but I'm sure there's moments where maybe you get burnt out,
Oh,
right?
for sure. Yeah. No.
So
Definitely a thing.
what do you do to, I guess, bounce back from burnout, or like how do you ensure you minimally
Yeah.
get burnt out? Let's
So,
say.
like, no, that's super legit, and, like, so in sports medicine, one of the things that is seems this is overarching, it's not true in all scenario, but one thing in specifically physical therapists is to me, it seems like the cooler the jobs you do, the crappier the hours are. So, like, I get
Yeah.
to go I get to work with the UC dance team, and I get to work with, like, really cool individuals, And most of the time, like based on the way that facility availability is for like the dance team, their practice is like 6 to 10, right? And so
Uh,
I'm not at every practice, but like if I wanna be there for the cool things, it's not a 9 to 5.
right.
I'm like my normal clinic hours are 7 to 4 so that I can get out of clinic at a normal time and be able to go to Moss Academy at StageFit and work there from, like 4:30 to 8, right?
Yeah,
Because I wanna be present for all of those things. So, what that does come with is, like, just fatigue,
yeah.
like there's only so many hours in a day, and if I'm, like, super interested in everything, it's, like, 11:30, 12, and I have to be up at, like, 5:50, and it's like, "Okay, well, alright, there goes that," and, I mean, I have to take care like, taking care of my body, I think, is the biggest thing that will help with the burnout stuff. Because like, if I'm in a caretaking role in the majority of the things that I do, like,
Yeah.
so if it's the, airplane, put the oxygen mask on yourself before other things, like, if I'm
Mhm.
not sleeping enough, if I'm not eating well, if I'm not exercising at least moderately, like, I'm just not as capable of a human, and I can't show up for the people that I'm trying to care for.
Yeah,
So, that's a huge part of it, and then, like, having other people to talk to. So, like, people that
yeah,
have been absolutely invaluable for me, like my wife, of course. Dr. Darcy Lee has been with me basically for the last like 6 years in all of my, current things. Victoria Heasley, like all of the physicians and just other like partners that I've had in these groups, Renee Lawspring, like we've
mhm,
been just like that in all the things that we do. And like if I didn't have them to talk to, get advice from, commiserate with, do all that, it would not be it. I'm such a people motivated person that having the close relationships, not directly with the people that I'm working with, like for, yeah, however my organizations are serving patients or clients, otherwise participants, but having other providers that I'm with, that's invaluable. So like those
yeah,
relationships are what keep it going.
yeah, that's awesome. Do you operate on little sleep?
Medium sleep, I'd say, like,
Okay.
something like 5.5. It's, during the week, 5.5 hours, and then I get a fat sleep in on the weekends usually, like, I was, like,
Okay.
11 to 9 today, and it was glorious.
Nice.
I think, honestly, like, during COVID, when I had no, external, restrictions, I was, like, a 12 to 9 person.
Oh,
So
wow.
I think I should probably be sleeping a lot more than I am, and I'm not saying, like, this is good. Like, it's
Yeah,
not. Like, I'm
yeah,
not
yeah.
proud of it at all. It's bad. I'm gonna get dementia earlier, and it's like things are gonna it's gonna not end well, so I'm hoping I can clamp down on that a little bit better.
Yeah,
Also, like, it's tough, but, like, when you're not sleeping enough, the energy needs to come from somewhere, and so it gets hard to regulate, like, nutrition intake as well.
yeah,
One thing that I'm so excited about recently is, like, nutrition tracking back in the day, and this is a huge caveat, especially for all of my, like, performing artists and whatnot. There is a raging prevalence of disordered eating in that population, and, like, nutrition tracking is absolutely not the first line defense in the majority of cases,
uh,
especially if there's some kinda clinical thing. So this is I'm saying for my personal, very data-driven self, I find it helpful, but
uh-huh,
this is not a prescription for anyone else saying that's I really wanna put that out there. But back to the original thing, like back in the day, when I was doing some like weight cutting for combat sports in Taekwondo specifically, that was the only way I knew how to do it. And there was apps, but they were clunky. Like MyFitnessPal, you
mhm.
had to put in every single thing, and it took you longer to log the food than you did eat it. Right
Yeah,
now, with like machine learning and good like AI apps, you can take a picture of a meal, and it can get the calories within like a couple, like 50 calories pretty accurately. So
wow.
that's been so much more helpful in just understanding the amount of energy that I'm taking. Is it above? Am I getting, overwhelmed and just like slamming food because that's like what I know to do and that's what feels good? Or like
Yeah,
just bringing some more intentionality behind what I'm consuming, and is it helping me? Is it hurting me? Is it helping me psychologically? Is it helping me physically? Like
yeah.
all that kind of stuff. So now that like Nutrola is a good option, just one that I've been playing with recently.
Oh,
But
it's an app?
yeah, but you can
Okay.
take a picture of food and it actually is getting so like
Huh.
nutrition tracking technology is getting a lot better, and that's making it more practical to implement in a very busy schedule. And
Yeah,
so that's like exciting to me because if I can have a better handle on my own health, I feel
yeah.
like I can contribute to other people's more effectively.
Yeah, yeah, it's so true. It's interesting because, like, I see, like, primary care physicians who are, like, maybe a little overweight
Dude,
and
it's
stuff
so
like
tough,
that.
like
It's like, what are you doing, bro?
yeah, the burnout
Like, I'm overweight, but and
no
I'm a wheelchair tennis coach, so I realize that I need to, like, look the part a little bit better, so,
yeah, dude,
anyway.
it is really tough. I mean, I will say for sure, like, during this year, in, like, peak season, we'll say, like, October timeframe, right? There was a part of the time there was a Friday, I forget which one specifically, I came back and sat in a dark room for 6 hours because I was so wiped. Because it's like, I mean, everyone's in season at that time, CCM has shows for days, UC dance team going, boxing team, they're in Seattle, like, all of my athletes are at the peak level of, like, the care that they need from me.
Yeah.
Iron Core is we're planning, we're meeting every Tuesday, so until, like, 9:30, 10. So,
Uh-huh.
like, that's getting pretty that amount of energy output, I just, like, hit a wall and was able to recover from it, but I think the way that I could have prevented that is in conjunction with like, the really cool part about and this is a whole separate, conversation to have, but, at least in the most of the medical worlds, like, students are, a pretty active part of, like, clinical teaching, so, like,
Mhm.
I can now I've noticed being able to take some, like, students, like, physical therapy students and, like, sort of bring them alongside me while working with these populations initially was tough because I'm like, "Oh, I wanna do such a good job, and I wanna make sure that I'm treating every athlete, like, to the like, they're getting the, apex care," and, like, I thought I was the only one that could do that, but
Mm.
coming with this, like, what I were talking about earlier, where it's like I can have the biggest benefit and the most effect by appropriately garnering, interest and competency in other people, students, what have you.
Yeah.
I've noticed that in the clinical realm too. If I take a student or two, they can help me with things, and most of the time, like, yeah, they take some energy investment and teaching up front, but by the second half of their rotation, they're treating similar to the way I would with their own unique set of experiences and then some, and we can see more people and be more effective. And so
That's
like
awesome.
that's pretty that helped as well.
Yeah. What's one tool or mindset you use to to maintain your momentum and keep rolling forward?
Just I just like staying in close proximity to people that are kicking ass. Like
Yeah.
it's like it's so motivating being with people like coming off of the UC dance team when like I that was so cool. I could ride that high for probably another year and it would take me through some of the crappiest times because you have that cool memory. Getting to do the marathon with Micaiah, like one of my boxers was a 2-year, wait, he went up. He was a national title belt holder from last year in, like, the 119 division, went up to 135 and won it this year too. So, like, getting
Wow.
to work with those people and the people that are just like or even ones that, like, CCM, the musical theater crew is quite impressive and they make it to Broadway, or one of my girls who had a really gnarly surgery got back and did Nutcracker this year. Like, being and
Cool.
just, like, getting to see that is extremely motivating, and so, like, all the
Yeah.
work that I get to put in with these people paying off, like, that keeps it going.
Do you feel more motivated by helping people or building something meaningful?
Do they have to be separate things? I feel like all the things that I build are meaningful. I end up
That's so
helping people.
true.
So, like,
Yeah.
probably, yeah, I mean, both. Like,
Mhm.
that's sort of what I try and do is, like, to
Mhm.
me, the meaning is in getting people to accomplish the top 1% of whatever their thing is.
Yeah.
So, like, if I built it and that's what happens, I feel like that's a win. So,
Mhm.
kinda both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's one of the most meaningful pieces of advice you've ever received?
Oh, geez. There's so many. Um, I admittedly, whenever this sucks because whenever I hear this question, like, my mind immediately goes blank, and I'm just like, I don't know what the advice is, but, like,
Yeah.
one everyone always says, "Pace yourself." I feel like that hasn't been super helpful because when I don't pace myself, cool stuff happens.
Yeah.
So I don't know how that fits in,
Right.
but, like, I had and honestly, I don't know, I might need to defer that one.
Okay.
I'll come back later. If I get something, I'll let you know,
No
but I
worries.
don't quite know.
Okay. How about where do you think your sense of purpose comes from?
Oh, geez. It's like I mean, it's like it's people related, right? Like,
Yeah.
that's the pervasive underlying factor to all the things that I do. Like,
Yeah.
I think I have a slightly above average propensity for, like, communicating in communicating information, and, like, I have probably an above average energy level too, so I feel like
Yeah.
the thing that I can do the most and that gives that lends, I don't know, with the most legitimacy to those individual characteristics is like taking that and putting that into making cool stuff happen for as many people as possible.
Yeah, I
So
love that.
that's kind of how that
Yeah.
goes, I think. Yeah.
Um, I want to get in to a little bit more about like your origin story and stuff like that.
Sure.
So, after you were born, what happened? No, I'm just
Yeah.
kidding. Uh, what kind of kid were you growing up?
You know, it's so funny. My mom always talks about this, right? She's probably got a better feel of this than I do on account of me being 3. But like,
Yeah.
I was I was kind of a couch potato until I was about 10 or so. So I grew up in more of like a urban environment, right? So I was born at Over the Rhine, and then we moved to College Hill when I was pretty young. But
Okay.
one thing that was like awesome too that I like in am looking for in my kids and all of my involvements is I had a pretty diverse friend group growing up.
Yeah.
Like, I was kinda in the city, so when I say diverse, like, diverse for Cincinnati, like, it's pretty like, predominantly, like, African American, white, had a few Asian buddies, and not a whole lot of, like, Latino, like, if you go to, like, Chicago,
Yeah.
that level of diversity goes up a ton, right, just because there's more people, but for Cincinnati,
Yeah.
that's what I had, and just getting, like, a really unique split of humans in my life, keeps it interesting, like,
Yeah.
having all this energy and all this extroversion, the getting as many unique characters within my average daily set of interactions as possible is what kept things interesting to me.
Yeah.
And so like growing up, that's what the friend group I tried to keep, and it got me into some cool different scenarios. Like, dude, I'm gonna be honest, like a black cookout is just incredible. I love anytime I got invited to the cookout, I was so hyped.
Yeah.
So barbecue is fantastic, and like this is gonna sound stereotypical, but it's just flat out true. Like fat old set of like fried chicken, some grippos, some like grape drink. Like, dude, it is awesome. I will eat that to the day I die. And like I wouldn't have done that myself had I not had that experience, right? I was really lucky that my parents were very like mission oriented. Like my mom when she was younger was like doing some like like ministry outreach in like I'm going to say Austria like during when
Mm.
the Iron Curtain was up. So she had a
Wow.
really like she was really motivated, very faith-based and got to do cool things. My dad spent some time in the Philippines doing something kind of similar, and so they tried to, make that a component of our lives. And so I went on a bunch of like mission work trips down to like Tennessee where we were building, roofs for people, and then Alabama, which is the hottest I've ever been in my entire life, building a roof in like 120-degree heat. But then I was really lucky to go. This was early in my electrical engineering career. The one internship I did do was with a group called Sunlight Power, and they install solar energy systems in communities that don't have good access to electricity.
Yeah.
Primarily, like Honduras has been a big one for them. They used to go to Haiti a lot. They go to Ghana. They go to a bunch of places. But
Cool.
there was I got to be part of a lot of those trips and get to meet just some incredible people. And so as like a young person, I had a really diverse set of influences and like experiences working with a non like people that were not in my demographic,
Yeah.
and I think that's really served me well in being able to serve a very broad range of populations and unique set of people because I can kind of just vibe with everyone because there's always something you can get to know. Like even
Yeah.
across language barriers, you can high five, you can watch sports, you can freak out at soccer. Like I'm be honest, I don't love soccer, but in Honduras, I was a raging soccer fan because that's what we do, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you get
Yeah.
into it with people and you get to see them motivated on stuff they care about, and that's cool. So I think that's the like theme from my childhood that was the most pervasive that kind of set me up to be in the position I am today.
Yeah. Do you like taking what other people are interested in to like is that a common thing that you do? Like
Take
so like take something that you're maybe not interested in and but because everybody else around you is interested in it, you kind of
Oh my
take
god,
it.
yeah, no, so much. So like, I mean, adapted sports, dance medicine, like all that stuff, like pretty much all of the things that I've been am now, like, would say established in was because I was with people that were really interested in it, and I was like, "Oh, I really like you as a person, so I'm gonna get into your thing," right?
Yeah.
So, like, Renee and Tommy and Iron Core has a bit of thing, we'll talk about that later, but, like, performing arts medicine, right? I have been in the performing arts world for a long time. I was in marching band when I started playing the clarinet when I was, like, in 4th grade, and
Oh.
then I went to marching band, but I was never, like, a dancer, right?
Yeah.
My mom was an actor, and then I worked in production. Like I started sweeping a warehouse when I was 14,
Mhm.
for like AV, and so I've been in the theater production world, but I'd never done dance specifically. And I was like kind of a dude bro all growing up, right? Like, I had all brothers. I went to an all dudes high school. Like, I
Uh,
did taekwondo, and so, like, that was not, like, quite my comfort level, right?
yeah.
Like, specific dance, like ballet, which is, predominantly female. But then, in 2020, I met Darcy Lee and my wife currently, Holly, and both of them Holly was she did her degree in musical theater and performed in New York, so, like, really,
Wow.
big musical theater gal. Darcy was a ballerina that injured out and decided to go to med school to, like, make care better, so we had similar things, and so I met them in the same year,
Wow.
and they were both like just really interested. They were very involved in the dance specific community
Yeah.
and like performing arts community, and so that 1,000% set the trajectory of my professional career because like these two people were so influential, and their thing immediately became my thing, and
Yeah.
now it's our thing, and so that's it for sure. Oh yeah,
It's interesting because you and I are a lot alike in that. Like, I tend to gravitate towards other people, other things people are interested. I think I think it has something to do with like our maybe at least for me my extroversion because like I
uh,
want to relate to that person a
yes,
lot,
exactly.
and
Yep.
it's almost like I can find enjoyment in almost anything
Hmm.
because there's just something fascinating. Like, when I was in college, like, I don't care about, like, professional sports a lot,
Yeah.
but when I was in college, one of my good friends, loved the Sacramento Kings,
Sure.
and that like, like, that season that we were, like, living together and whatnot, like, I learned every player's
Oh
name,
yeah, for sure. Right.
like Mike Bibby and Vlade Divac and stuff like that, but, like, anybody before or after that group, like, I have no idea who those people are at all, so
Yeah. There's.
you can push that up.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
There we
there you
go.
go,
Perfect.
that's great.
Awesome.
And, but then another one, one of my good friends right now, he's not necessarily a gamer, but he's
Okay.
interested in watching people game.
Dude, okay. I feel like that origin, I guarantee you, goes back to the younger brothers, which makes sense, who had to watch their older brothers play one-on-one video games because there wasn't online or I didn't have enough controllers or something. Like, I guarantee you that is the origin of this like whole Twitch thing. Because it was like the little kids who were like waiting for their older siblings to get off and like, they're watching Halo or freaking Animal Crossing or whatever that is.
Yeah,
And then they just started liking it. And so now there's this like whole like Twitch community. I guarantee you that is the origin of that entire phenomenon.
that's
It's
interesting.
gotta be a thing.
So he has siblings, but, like, his mom, married after he was born, married someone that was, like, 20 years older than him,
Oh yeah.
and he had a bunch of kids, and
Okay.
so he has, like, step siblings, but he was technically raised as an only child and stuff like that.
Oh, I
So
see. Yeah.
that that stereotype doesn't it makes sense, but I don't think it necessarily fits him.
Okay. Separate thing.
But anyway, back to the original point is like one of the things that he loves to watch is Mario Maker,
Okay.
and like there's people that like build these crazy levels in Mario Maker, and then they run them, and they're called Kaizo levels, a lot of them,
Yeah.
and Kaizo levels are like just the most insanely hard like frame jumps and stuff like that that you have to like get through and you die like a million times
Oh yeah.
and like the streamer just gets a little further every time and I don't know. So I did dive into that world. I haven't. It's been a long time since I've watched anybody, but like, that's just another example of a world that I've never would have been a part of had it not been for somebody in my life getting me there.
Right. Would never. Yeah. It's like you show up and you're like, well, this is not what I planned for myself, but I'm super here for it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
I feel like some of the coolest experiences in my life have been related to that phenomenon. So like,
Yeah.
I'm pretty open to most stuff at this point because usually it ends up pretty cool. Right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Let me ask, do you have a story from your childhood that maybe is like a good example of what shaped you
Yeah.
today?
1,000%. So
Alright.
I was, so go, all right. So I'm probably like 10, right?
Yeah.
Um, being in a diverse neighborhood, right? I was like kind of short and fat. Not short. I was like chubby as
Oh,
like a younger kid.
okay.
And all of my friends were like these like super athletic, like black kids. And so I just got the floor mopped with myself, like with pretty much like I'm not inherently unathletic today. Like I can hang. Basketball, there's this complete mental block because I just got murdered anytime I played basketball because like they were just so much better than I was.
How tall are you?
Now I'm like 6'1". I'm like
Okay.
I'm like pretty average, like 200-ish, 6'1", like, we'll
Yeah.
say like American dude, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But, what back then, I got, like, mopped. It was bad, and I was really like, afraid of things, and thank God there's this kid named Debo. He was the best, and so I had a trampoline in my backyard, and most of the kids like hanging out, and I had just started Taekwondo, so, like, I was probably, like, a yellow belt at the time, and I never understood why I was like, "Why do people get hurt and keep going? Like, why do you get hit? Like,
Yeah.
when you're fighting, right?"
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh, it hurts. I'm gonna stop now." And he gave me the most like he just like sat me down after one thing because we would all play fight on the trampoline and like it's what you do when you're dudes. And I'd stop early. Like I'd get hit once and be like, okay, it's time to sit down. But he like sat me down and was like, Dan, you gotta like keep going. And just I don't know what he said specifically, but it was like the classic, like, like the pivotal story point in the boxing movie where the fighter gets back up again. It's like, all right, I gotta go throw down, then goes and wins a championship. But
Yeah.
like that moment where I'm just like sitting on the side of my trampoline, I'm this little like chubby kid, and Deepa's like, you just gotta like you gotta keep freaking going, dude. And like to this day, it like there was a switch and like the resilience and all of the like, therapy speak things that came from that was from this one just like backyard conversation that this kid took some time. Like, I mean, he was probably 12. So
Yeah.
like it wasn't that different, but
Yeah.
it helped me integrate into like the kind of more like urban, like hood culture more effectively.
Yeah.
Cause I wasn't just like the kid that had the cool trampoline, but like wouldn't play.
Yeah.
And then from there, I still suck at basketball to this day. I could never hang in basketball, but I could fight.
Yeah.
And so that brought me into like, my black belt in taekwondo and like my competitive like trajectory there. But
Ah.
like that was really, really pivotal for me.
Yeah, yeah. Do you do any other combat sports?
Yeah, so my big combat sport was Olympic style taekwondo. So I started that when I was 7. And then I competed nationally in the AAU circuit from when I was like 18 to 23, so like collegiate age, like a
Cool.
little earlier. And I simultaneous to that did some like boxing at Cincinnati Fitness Boxing. I never competed in that. I competed Olympic style, but like I'll train kickboxing and boxing.
Yeah.
Like anything not on the ground. My stand up is pretty solid.
Okay.
I will die on the ground. I'm not good at that at all.
My
Grappling.
stand-up is not very
Nice.
Wheelchair
There
Joe.
we go. Love it.
Uh, yeah, 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 that's fair. Yeah, we do grappling here from time to time. I don't get on the ground very often, but it's a lot of like counters and like punches and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, but I did learn how to. I don't know if you know much about ground grappling and whatnot, but I did learn how to shrimp,
Oh yeah,
um,
shrimping is good.
which is hard for me because I lack butt muscles.
Yeah,
But
yeah, it's kind of a
um,
butt heavy act,
yeah,
kind of.
butt heavy.
But yeah, figure it out.
Oh yeah, okay. I'm gonna just clip that. It's
Yeah,
butt heavy.
kind of butt heavy.
That-
Dude, it's like it's so funny because like in therapy, you just gotta like do stuff sometimes. It's like I touch more butts on a day than like probably most people. I touch more feet on a day to day than
yeah,
most people.
yeah,
So I do realize that some of the things I say are a little weird, but I promise it's from a sheer exposure standpoint,
yeah.
like desensitization versus
Yeah.
anything else.
Yeah, well, growing up, doctors would be like, "All right, I'm gonna touch you here." I'm like, "Yeah, okay, I don't
Whatever.
care." Like,
Dude,
I'm so used to being touched everywhere because of
it's
my disability.
oh my god. So I was my first year of grad school was during COVID, right? So we were all like remote.
Oh,
And so we had to do usually in PT school you do like practicals where you go in and there'll be like a mock patient or one of your classmates and you have to do like a procedure or an exam on them, right?
yeah.
In this case, we had to do them like virtually, so we had to film them, us performing it on like someone we were living with. So my poor brother, dude, God bless this guy. He was like all right, man. I'm like, hey, dude, I'm sorry. Like, I need you to help me with this. And like, you have to do it like direct on skin. So like, he had to like take his shirt off or take like, wear like shorts or something. And he's like, all right, man, I'll do this, but like, no butt stuff. Okay. I was like, all right, I'll really try no butt stuff. And then, sure enough, literally like the first muscle on the sheet was like directly palpate the gluteus maximus. I was like, no. So imagine it's like my brother down in boxers on this like table looking makeshift like couch table thing that I had at the house, a camera, and then me like in a lab coat. I just remember my dad like walked upstairs and like turned around the corner, looked for like 3 seconds, and just like backed away. We looked up and like, I'm so sorry, bro. And so he's like, I'll leave you guys to it.
That's great.
So that was a unique aspect of remote learning back in the day.
Yeah.
But yeah,
So then, we kind of got into your childhood a little bit. What
yeah,
about like what made you go into like the physical therapy route and
yeah, man. So it was pretty interesting actually. So when I was in engineering, I was actually pretty set on the military route. So I was in Air Force ROTC,
oh,
and I thought I was going to do like either special operations or like some kind of acquisitions.
okay.
And I had it was interesting. I have eczema, and there was at the time we didn't know that, but that was like a medical DQ from
Yeah.
most Air Force positions.
Oh.
And so I did a first year, and then my paperwork came back, and I was not able to go the route that I had initially thought.
Oh.
So like I thought I wanted to do like acquisitions, be in the electrical biomedical realm, right? And then that did not work out. And so I had to essentially completely lateral. Like I that after like, engineer in Air Force to what next? And
Yeah.
I knew I liked science. I liked the health aspect of things,
Uh-huh.
but I didn't quite know what it was. It's weird because to this day, I don't have a specific, like, this is when I want to do
Trigger.
rehab, but I knew I was good at science. I knew I liked health. And so that sort of just siloed into that kind of like progressed into there.
Yeah.
And then simultaneous to that, I worked at the rec center and I got my personal training certification. I had the athletic background,
Yeah.
and so all it was more the conglomerate of the things I was good at turned into physical therapy
Yeah.
versus me being like, I want to be a physical therapist,
Right.
if that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
And so oh shoot, there's one question that I had about I lost it. It's all right. It's funny when I want to remember something, I
Yeah.
cross my fingers,
Oh, sure.
and
I just have
it,
to keep them crossed forever.
yeah,
Keep
yeah,
everyone
right.
cross them. Yeah.
Oh, and normally, like once I cross my finger, I can put like
Yeah.
that thought to it, and
Sure.
then not remember, and then it's like okay, but I don't remember anyway.
All good.
Um, so so there's there's the performance standpoint which you've gravitated towards, but it's sounds to me like you've done kind of both rehab and performance based,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, certainly. And honestly, man, in my head, they are the same continuum at just different
Yeah.
percentages, right? So
Yeah.
like theoretically, rehab goes from 0% capacity to do things to
Mhm.
like 65%, right? Like you're going from not walking or not being able to like use the extremity that's affected to, all right, I can use this thing for like daily exercises and I can complete sport related activities without getting hurt again,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
The second part of that continuum, we'll say like the 65 to 95% is the like just conditioning, like performance related, but in just like, typical like getting better at your sport in the strength and conditioning realm. And so that's why I have my strength and conditioning credentials because I knew I wanted to incorporate that into my rehab
Mm.
process instead of just being like, okay, you can like go do, and this is very pervasive across all sports PT. This is not unique to me. It's like we just try and get people back to sport, which is more intense than back to walking through your kitchen and getting a cup out of the cupboard.
Right.
And so that was a part that I knew I needed to have. And then lastly, what I'm working on right now too is my like sports science
You
credentials.
pull that closer.
Yeah, sure. Working on some of my like sports science credentials because data is moving just human performance is moving so fast now in the like rehab and like high performance world
Yeah.
that I realized that I need to understand the metrics that we're measuring people on to a more like a more data driven based versus just kind of like, rehab or basic scientifically based patterns.
Mm,
And so that's the additional end of performance that I want to work on, is being able to take someone, because I love that 1%, right? Like,
yeah.
okay, what's going to truly get that 1%? It's more sensors, more data, more
Mhm.
integration, all that kind of thing. And so that's what I'm kind of working currently on to expand my understanding of.
Yeah. Did you have I know you said you couldn't point to, like, one specific thing, but did you have, like, a mentor or, like, maybe a patient or some sort of experience that kinda
Yeah.
got you to where you are?
Oh my goodness, I would not be here without my so many mentors, but like like I have a couple professors. Actually, I got to throw it back to high school. I have a like Miss Mike Holman. I was not an A student by any stretch, because I have a couple learning disabilities, and so like my basic, it's like dyslexia and dysgraphia, but it's like the external one. So anytime I'm spelling or writing something down, it looks like I'm communicating like three in that thing. If I was a sophomore, I looked like I was an eighth grader, right? I could
Ah,
not effectively express myself through my hand very well.
yeah.
And so I could speak and test pretty I could speak very well, and I could, like, interact, so I was able to get into, like, this honors program called LSI, which is still a thing today, and it's an incredible program where it was more like, it was branded as business development, but it was more just, like, effective human development, where a lot of the things we focused on were not traditional academics. It was like, we would go and do these field visits to places, and this field visits would tell us, okay, like, Lorosis is a good one. We would go, they'd give us a tour of everything. They'd say, okay, this is what we do. This is our operations center. And then they would take us and say, all right, here's a real world scenario that we are currently working on. And we're like freshmen in high school. And they're like, you have 30 minutes to brainstorm what a solution to this may be. Then you have 15 minutes to put it into a presentation. And then each person is going to do like an elevator pitch. Each group is going to do an elevator pitch. And we did this in every sector of industry, healthcare, business, like, a bunch of other ones. And that process was invaluable to me because it just taught me to like present myself as a human, even though I was not able to communicate it on the written side quite as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
And so like he and my grades, like I struggled like in specifically like the hardcore maths and
Uh-huh.
and some of like the Englishes. I didn't do very well. And so by academic standards, I technically should not have been in that program. Like I was a little bit below on the GPA side, but Mr. Holman like realized that and realized that I was still effectively contributing to the like learning process, and
Mhm.
also would benefit so significantly. And so like that set the trajectory for my life, because even though I didn't have quite the capacity that some of my age matched peers did, I could excel in other ways. And
Mhm.
he gave me the floor to do that. And then from there, it was just like I was working with the unique groups, because I wasn't your typical, academic A student. Today, I don't work in like D1 football. I work with like adapted athletes and combat
Yeah.
sports and performing arts. And so that
Right.
theory has been pervasive ever since.
That is awesome. Yeah, I wish, schools did more stuff like that. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. There we'll get into education a little bit more, but there's definitely, I don't know. I don't think a lot of hands-on, as much hands-on as there should be, like with the roses and that problem that they
The
gave you.
hands-on is like, oh, it's absolutely crucial, which
Yeah,
is what I've tried to orient all of
yeah.
the things I do since. So yeah.
Yeah, and, like, I just remember growing up, it's like, "Well, Tommy has 3 apples, and you take away 2. How
I
many
don't give a shit about Tommy's apples. Like, help me solve real problems.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Exactly, and that real world application's like, "Oh, I understand how I'm gonna use this outside of school." It's
Right.
like, oh. By the way, I did have some learning, disabilities or learning, I guess, issues in school as well. I was diagnosed with, like, ADHD at, like in, like, 4th grade, and,
Oh yeah.
um, that was probably the big one. I was just highly disorganized
Yeah.
and
Sure.
all
Right.
that, so,
Uh,
anyway,
did you go to the stupid kid trailer? I
uh
feel like every school had a stupid kid trailer that you had to go and do, like, remedial learning.
there wasn't, there was, like, a section
Yeah,
that you
right?
go in that, like,
They'd always pull you out of, like, gym or something fun too, and you're like, "Really? Like,
yeah.
come on." Like, that if we could change anything, it's the because like my written stuff was bad, right? So my occupational therapist gave me a big old like pink pencil grip. There's nothing more socially isolating for a third grade dude than like a big old thing on the pencil that
Right.
dictates like you are different and stupid. Like
Right.
if we could change anything, it's like how like going to the communication aspect of therapy. How do you um, phrase the interventions that you're doing or communicate it in a way that like it sucks now, but it will be beneficial later?
Yeah.
I was given none of that. I didn't give a crap if I could write. I just wanted to like go play Yu-Gi-Oh with my buddies.
Right.
And if they're the ones staring at me with the pink pencil grip the whole time, and it's like I'm getting flack on that one, like
Yeah.
that's inhibiting the learning process so much more than anything else. So,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, no, that's a thing, man.
All right, well, it is time for the wheelie bad for wheelie bad jokes.
Oh, let's go.
Here's how wheelie bad jokes works is I'm
Okay.
gonna tell you a wheelie bad joke, and I want you to rate it on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the best. And then if you have a joke that you wanna tell, fine. If not, that's also fine. But you're obviously welcome to tell a wheelie bad joke
Dude,
as well.
we gotta rate it on like the Asia scale or something.
What's the Asia scale?
It's like level of spinal cord disability. I feel like we need that rating system.
Level spinal cord disability.
There's others out there, but we should use like the wheelchair grading scale or something.
From from L3, L4,
L3.
C7.
That's the one.
I feel like half my guests are gonna be like, "What the hell
What
is
is
that?"
that? And then the other half are gonna really like it. Specifically the upper extremity.
I'll just point to a chart like really bad is
Yeah.
this injury level here in
Yeah.
the neck, and really good
Good
is
is
like
like
right at the butt.
Yeah. All right. Nice.
Yeah. Okay. So you ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
Oh, and by the way, I get most of my jokes from Logan Lyle. He's awesome. He's a big YouTube. He's big on social medias, and all he does is tell jokes. So Logan Lyle is where I did get these. And I always try to cater them towards the person.
Okay.
And this one's close, but not exactly. But anyway, are you ready?
Let's do it.
I once injured myself mining for gold. It was a minor injury.
Yes. 10 being the best, 1 being the worst.
Yeah.
All right. I'm gonna put that as a solid like 6.5.
Okay, 6'5". I like it. Okay. I do you have a joke that you want to tell?
I have a like a way that the disabled athletes refer to each other that is absolutely hysterical.
Yeah, let's do it.
Dude, okay, this is the dragons thing. I am never gonna be the first one to say these jokes, but the second they're brought into the universe, I'm using them for the rest of existence. They call the single leg amputees pogos.
Yeah.
Dude, it's nuts. Like one dude, I'm pretty sure he was a vet and he got his legs blown off in Afghanistan. His name is Mick Wears His Legs. Like, let's go. These are hysterical. Like the shade thrown in adapted sports dwarfs all other shade known to human existence. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, there's a lot of disability jokes that I like to throw. I kind of like going a little bit like extreme. Like my friends in high school used to call me a cripple,
Yeah.
and I let them like
Oh, for sure.
and like everybody around us were like,
Oh no, dude. You gotta I'm never gonna be the first one. Like I said,
Yeah.
I will jump on it because it's like, why are you like it? We know it sucks. Like everybody know it sucks. Like let's have some fun. Like
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
I mean, you see that in just like medicine in general too. Like the dark humor is quite pervasive, and like I'm I fall into it quite a bit, and I have to realize that some people I'm with aren't. That's maybe not their main jam, so I got to be careful.
Yeah.
But oh yeah, if people are willing to lean into it, I'm all here for it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, so I do have like a second part.
Yeah.
It's completely different, but it's just so everyone's clear. I'm gonna put on my glasses.
For those of you listening on the podcast, he just took his glasses off and put them back on again.
Yeah. So anyway, I saw that one too, and I'm like, I'll just do a second joke that'll be funny. Okay. Uh let's see. How would you rate that last one? Was it better than the first?
Oh, I say they're pretty similar.
Okay, okay.
The level of like corniness and all of that are quite
Yeah,
equivalent. Yes.
it's it matches. It's good for the wheelie bad jokes
Oh
because
yeah.
it's yeah, they're pretty bad. Anyway, let's move on to Iron Core.
Yeah.
So, for people unfamiliar, what is it?
So we are an adapted strength and conditioning organization that specifically works to pair it's got a few like main goals, but what it does is it pairs undergraduate and graduate health sciences students. Actually, in some cases, no, we've had psychology. We'll call it like health-minded students with adapted athletes. We will then teach the students how to run a adapted strength and conditioning program. So like we teach them the basics of strength and conditioning and then kind of tailor it towards their specific athlete depending on what the disability may be.
Mhm.
And then we pair them with Cincinnati area adapted athletes. It's not, they don't have to just be from like the Dragons or the Icebreakers.
Yeah.
We do a lot of work with like UC adapted sports, Cincinnati Dragons, which is wheelchair basketball, Cincinnati Icebreakers, which is sled hockey. But then
Mhm.
we have some like just community athletes that like, you know, they just want to be recreational. We're not physical therapy, but if we will work on like if they just, you know, play recreational tennis or something, like we do that as well.
Yeah.
Um, and so that is the general principle. So you have your health sciences students paired with the athletes, and then we will run a strength and conditioning program once a week on Saturday mornings for the whole spring semester because it does
Mhm.
go off of the availability of the collegiate calendar most of the time. And that it stemmed from really the partner that I founded it with originally, Tommy McCade. He's a neuro PT at I believe he's up at OSU now. Incredible guy. And then Renee Loftspring, who is really involved in the adaptive community. She's been there forever. She's like
Mhm.
hugely involved with USA Hockey and sled hockey and all those things. She's also a neuro PT. I'm like the one weird MSK guy in the crew. But
What's MSK?
musculoskeletal, like orthopedic sports,
Okay, okay.
not neuro,
Okay.
basically.
Okay.
And so Tommy and I's whole thing, like what got it started originally is one of our professors, Tom Herman, who was also like a huge mentor in my life. This guy was incredible. He had to go to like his nephew's wedding or something. And typically for the past couple of years, he had been doing just a basic off ice conditioning presentation to the sled breakers at their yearly jamboree, which is like kind of like a festival tournament that they have. And he couldn't go. And so Tommy and I were like, you know, above average interested and motivated in his class. And so he asked us to go do this presentation for him on off ice conditioning, which is basically using a Bosu ball and like one of those gym class scooters to
Mhm.
simulate what a sled would feel like and doing some exercises not on the ice for the athletes.
Ah,
So we did that and got to meet Renee. And then overwhelmingly, we had like 4 or 5 parents come up to us after and say like, "Hey, do you guys do more than just this? Like, we need this so bad."
yeah.
And so we talked to Renee, and Renee was like, "Hey, I think we can actually make this happen." And so things spiraled out of control, and from there, we not out of control, in control, but spiraled quickly
Yeah.
and turned into our first iteration of the program where we had about 10 athletes at the UC Rec Center with like 20 coaches. So it was like usually the first year we didn't have any experienced coaches, but we tried to pair a graduate student with an undergraduate student
Mhm.
because our whole thing, we were undergraduates. We just wanted to do real stuff earlier in our career. Like
Mhm.
usually you have to wait a full 4 years to do anything that matters in like undergraduate health science education. And like it's really easy to just lose sight of why you're doing it if you're just slugging through gen ed science classes and
Right.
not having a good time and not interacting with the people that you think you're going to be serving.
Right.
And so we wanted to get that earlier, much earlier in the educational pathway. And so that's like the academic side. We wanted early access, we wanted good education, and we wanted like an opportunity to do real things.
Yeah.
On the other side, what we heard pervasively across the board in the adapted community is that it was extremely difficult to get good, we'll say it off court, off ice conditioning help because most of the times they would go to gyms or other places and be told like, sorry, we don't have anyone that's specialized to work with you. So even if they wanted to do additional performance training, there was nowhere to do that. The teams themselves, it was already difficult getting court access, like
Yeah.
for the times of just playing. So like additional strength and conditioning and like physical development outside of just sport participation, that was very uncommon as well.
Right.
And so this confluence of needs ended up in this Iron Core thing that is it was uniquely serving kind of both of those roles.
Yeah.
And it those are such significant requirements on both sides that it's like that's been its main thing is
Mhm.
educating and providing early access to these clinicians so that hopefully when they graduate they are just like they're not afraid of wheelchair users or any sort of disability. That's like that can be their bread and butter population that's like
Yeah.
they love treating and that they know how to do. So you have a more like, a well-seasoned crop of clinicians that know how to work with it. And
Yeah.
then also you have these athletes that have not only like wheelchair and adapted athletics is kind of a unique space for a lot of these athletes to just hang out with each other.
Uh-huh.
So an entirely new medium for them to come and hang out on Saturdays, in addition to
Mhm.
their sport participation, in addition to just like good, well-based physical development, because like just because you have a disability that shouldn't disqualify you from the physical education and development that all other able-bodied kids and athletes get.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's the mission of Iron Core in a lot of words,
Yeah.
and since then, it's just gotten a little bit better and better every year.
Yeah, that's awesome. Talk to me about like the behind the scenes. So like
Yeah.
I've been and so for those that don't know, you basically go for like an hour, and I think that this past time there were 2 sessions
Yeah.
that people did, and I got the opportunity to work with 2 individuals. I think it seems like you always do that with most people, right?
Yes, right now that we have a good lineage of coaches, we try and
Yeah,
we will pair every athlete with a graduate student and an undergraduate
right,
student, or an experienced undergraduate, meaning like an upperclassman undergraduate that has done Iron Core for 2 or 3 years,
right.
and then a novice coach, because we want to give like the original mission of Iron Core, we wanna give people real experiences, but we
Yeah,
also need to make sure that the athletes are safe and are getting good programming. So
yeah,
that's why we do that coaching pair so that we can
mhm,
it's kind of like an apprenticeship for the younger coach
yeah.
working with the older coach.
Yeah, and it's super cool that they work with you basically one on one. Like you're not there with anybody else, and they're asking you all about your disability and like figuring out what your limitations are, and then they're catering different drills specifically or different exercises specifically to you. And one of the things that one of the reasons I love Iron Core is I before all my head stuff, I was working out like 2, 3 times a week, and I felt like I already had a lot of strength, but Iron Core specifically, that they were able to find muscles that I don't generally use,
Ah, yes. That's
and
our specialty.
Yeah, yeah, and, like, man, like, when you work out regularly, you kinda stop getting sore almost in some of those muscles, but man, Iron Core is great because it's like the next day I'm like, "Ooh, alright, let's go."
Yeah, right.
Um, and then the other cool thing, I don't think I do this as enough in, like, my personal workouts is they track your progress and, like, I remember 2 years ago they had me just stepping side by side along a wall to see how long I could last, and I think at first it was like 30 seconds, and by the end of the class, it was like 2 minutes, and it was like,
There you
"Wow,
go.
that's so
Man,
cool."
that's sick.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. I absolutely love Iron Core. I think it's awesome. So what walk me through something I don't know about is the behind the scenes. So
Yeah, so it is, what I will throw to is like, okay, this year we've had so many of these, but it does not happen without the director group who
mm,
is they're students as well, but they go above and beyond and volunteer to like be like the coordinators of this, and they are crucial. So like Brooke Tao, Lizzie Meyer, Sydney Ballou, Maya Rubin, Isaiah Montgomery. I know I'm forgetting some others, but like they are the backbone of Iron Core because they do so much to coordinate. So a lot of what has to go in is we have to first like recruit everyone. So
mhm,
earlier in the season, we start meeting up about we take a summer off because everybody kind of recoups and it's entirely volunteer. Like there's no paid anything. Um, but we will start meeting September-ish and just work on kind of general coordination, but then the big, like, work comes in recruiting coaches, right? So, a
mhm,
lot of the time, what we initially, piggybacked off of is that University of Cincinnati has like a service learning requirement for a lot of their undergrad students.
Uh,
And so they have to go do 24 or so hours of stuff. And so Iron Core was very intentionally made like a 25-hour program to fulfill all of the volunteer requirements for that. That helps get us our biggest group because like it is an entirely volunteer organization, which now I believe we would be able to get a full group because we like have to turn people away now because it's so popular.
wow.
But back in the day when we were starting it off, we were adding an additional opportunity to what was required as is. So they're like, oh, we might as well do this cool like on in-person thing that gives us more opportunities, but
Yeah.
wouldn't have been able to do it without that.
Do
So
do the students get credit
they do.
hours? Okay.
Not they get volunteer, like, hours,
Just volunteer
not
hours.
through
Okay.
school. We have intentionally kept it away from any official affiliation with the university or something so we can be as dynamic as we need to.
Interesting.
With university regulation comes, some bureaucratic stuff that we weren't super into, and so
Oh,
similar with, like, the bridge,
yeah.
we try and keep those organizations separate of anyone else so that we can have complete control over how they go because
Cool.
we know what we need, and we don't really wanna be told that we can't do it
Yeah.
because the last thing that someone with a disability needs is more barriers, right? Like,
Yeah.
screw that. So, um, that's the first part is getting the coaches. So we are super lucky now. We've had coaches. So we started with just University of Cincinnati, but we've had a huge group from Mount St. Joseph recently. Some of our directors are from MSJ. We get a lot of grad students, specifically like first year PT students from there. And they're all incredible. I love working with them. We've had students from UK. We had our first UK student this year, and I think we have some interest from Northern Kentucky University. So it's growing
Wow.
for sure. So we have a lot of schools that are starting to kind of take notice, which is incredible and super exciting. So that is our first thing, getting the coaches. So we have a position that's specifically dedicated to the coaching coordinator, and the coaches need to get background checks and they need to do a bunch of paperwork, and we need to interview the coaches as well.
Oh,
And so typically this year our slots are limited on the amount of athletes we get. We had about 25 athletes this year, so we had 50 coaches.
uh-huh.
And we had like 70 applications. So unfortunately, every year we need to turn people away, which is a great problem to have. And
Right.
like, hope we tell them, please come back next year. Or sometimes we'll give them like special assignments, like the social media team, which is super, super important. Like just, getting our name out there or helping us with like side projects and, just admin stuff.
Yeah.
But that's the first big thing. The athlete recruitment is another one. And we have a full separate position dedicated to that where sometimes we'll go to practices or we'll like
Mhm.
Renee is huge in this. Like she's plugged into everyone under the sun. So
Yeah.
working with Jake Counts now more recently, like this year we had our first a demo of like team-based conditioning sessions. So instead of
Uh-huh.
it being one-on-one, Isaiah was our director of like teams. And so he would have a group from the Dragons come in all together, like four of them, and do specific basketball conditioning right before basketball practice, which was super cool because it was all in the same
Cool.
place.
Okay.
We had one for the UC track and tennis team, and that
Uh-huh.
was earlier in the day. So they would come in and do specific workouts for that sport
Yeah.
together. So that's one of my like special motive like things that I wanted to work on is get them like a legitimate like strength and conditioning feel because
Yeah.
this is a hybrid. This program is very different than pretty much anything else. Not entirely. We actually, I take it back. We did sort of model it kind of after. Believe it's called the Mighty Penguins. It's a program out of Pittsburgh. I think it's Pitt University, I wanna say. They do something pretty similar with, like, the Pittsburgh Penguins and their PT students. And so that's kind of how we set the regular Iron Core up with, like, the 2 coaches, 1 athlete, and I would love to get it to where there's, like, maybe 3 coaches and, like, 6 athletes all from the same thing, because then you're really getting a legitimate, like, strength and conditioning team-based experience.
Yeah.
So that's like there's a whole position specifically for that, and then there's, like, Renee and myself that do a lot of the like, like, the legal stuff and everything there, so
Yeah.
it is a group effort. It's probably, on my side, like, 2 hours a week,
Wow.
which is not crazy, and there's ebbs and flows, right? Like, the week
Just
before Iron Core,
during the
like, on if I were to average it out across the whole 365-day year, it's about 2 hours a week, but it
okay.
goes, like, we take a break in summer, then when
Yeah.
we start up, it's a little more time, and then right before season, it's a little more time, and then in
Uh,
season, it's actually pretty easy on the admin side because 'cause they're kinda just going for it.
yeah.
And then, yeah, so that's, like, the back end that is, like, I cannot stress enough, completely impossible without all our incredible director group.
Yeah. So another maybe back end piece is like, okay, so I signed up for the second or third year in a row this past go around.
Yeah.
Are you telling the physical therapists like about me, what we've done in the past, and
So
all
the
that,
physical
or
the coaches, you're saying?
the coaches,
Yeah,
sorry.
so none of them sorry, they are all PT students. One of the big differentiators is, like, we're not doing medicine in any
Right.
respect, right? So it's like we really emphasize that heavily to all of our coaches is, like, we are doing strength and conditioning.
Yes.
We're not certified to do physical therapy. We're not working on ADLs. We're working on sport-specific stuff.
Yep.
So, yes, what we do so we have that the intake paperwork that all the athletes do,
Oh, yeah,
kinda
that's
talk
right.
about their, like, individual disabilities and, like, some of
Mhm.
their goals. And so we'll tell the coaches like this is what you're working on, and we make them in certain cases like I'll do a direct one-on-one meeting with the coaches like, hey, this is this specific disability. Here are the things you need to know about this. Like this is what
Yeah.
you have to be aware of. Here are some medical considerations. But then also what's baked into the coaching process and what we try and teach them is like the evaluation process on like the physical side. So it's like we do tested measures out the front at the beginning of the session where you're like talking about the disability, talking about your goals, talking about all that kind of stuff, and then also doing some physical tests to see like
Yeah.
where is your muscular strength, where is your muscular endurance, what are the direct deficits that we need to address in this program.
Yeah.
So that's like that's how that's assigned. And one other thing too that we put a lot of time into is the coach athlete pairing.
Mm.
Very infrequently will we pair coaches if they're repeat coaches or repeat athletes with the same person year to year because we love to give everyone a diverse set of
Yeah.
experiences on specifically the coaching side.
Yeah.
Every once in a while we'll get someone who's like, this is my coach. I'm locked in. Like we have one guy, I'm blanking on his name right out the gate, but this guy, they've been together for like 3 years and every year they just really look forward to working together.
Cool.
And so that's like, I'm not going to take that away from them because
Yeah.
they really like it and they're getting a great experience. But
Yeah.
that's sometimes how that works out.
Yeah. And so do you work like one on one with the coaches like after the fact to like go over the results and
You know,
stuff like that? Or
it being a volunteer organization, if we had year-round stuff and someone who wanted to do all that all the data analytics,
yeah.
what we started with, like, initially, my partner Tommy is, like, super research-based, he's a super cool guy, and he was really into, like, monitoring all the pre-test, post-test. Here's the reality of the program, we get you once a week for 9 weeks. We're
Yeah.
not going to probably move the needle a ton on all of the actual results, so
Right.
right now what I have shifted towards and what you saying with like the 2 minutes, like that's legit. So we definitely tell our coaches to track everything, but
Mhm.
we don't harp on them needing to make a significant change. It's more about them on the learning side, going through the process of doing a test retest process
Yeah.
and making sure that all of the things that you are doing are directly addressing a deficit or a goal.
Mhm.
If you don't change it, like we know physical change takes maybe more than once a week. And so we're
Right.
not harping on like, you need to get those results up next year. That's not what it's about. It's more
Right.
about like learning how to do the process
Sure.
and understanding what it looks like to work goal based versus just like, all right, we're going to do some bicep curls.
Yeah.
That's what we do.
Yeah.
That's more what we're trying to get out of it. And then if there is performance enhancement, like heck yeah, we'll
Mm.
absolutely take that. And we have seen it for sure, especially in the littles, man. Like the littles, they're just how much of that is us and how much of them is just naturally developing.
Yeah, yeah,
Who
yeah.
can say? But I'm gonna take credit for it.
Right, right.
But that's like, that's kind of how that goes.
Right. Well, okay, so I do have a pretty big gripe
Nope.
about Iron Core.
Please, yes,
It's that Iron Core is not year round.
I know. I know, man. That's the hard part. We wish, and it's just it takes so much coordination, and
It
it's
does.
all volunteers. So to ask our coaches or ask our directors to do that all year would
Yeah.
be very difficult. Man, I would love it to be all year round. And like I'm gonna say, like the talks are a thing. Like we
Yeah.
want that to be a thing, and we just need to figure out the logistically how we because safety is our number one thing. Like
Yeah.
what we try and emphasize more than anything else is like the last thing we would want is for someone to get really hurt doing something that they just wanted to, you want to come and do this thing that helps physically develop you, right?
Yeah.
And if we did it year round, I would be afraid that we would be increasing our like we're really hands-on supervision wise. Like every time at Iron Core, there's at least like two fully certified like PT, AT, some real medical providers there to
Sure.
ensure that because we do work with a slightly more complex set of participants
Yeah.
that we can make sure that everyone stays safe during this. And if we were doing it all year, I feel like we'd spread our resources too thin.
Yeah.
As of now, I promise, man, we're working on it. Like I wanna get it to a year-round thing, and I want it to be more accessible. And like, there's incredible organizations out there that exist that might be able to help us with that. Then that we're trying to look into. But
Yeah.
like as of right now, it's limited to that 1 year time, that 1 semester time frame based on coaching availability and athlete availability and like resource
Yeah,
availability.
yeah.
Right.
Um, yeah, so if there's any, like, donors out there that, like, wants to help support Iron Core,
Yeah, dude,
uh,
send it.
yeah, help make it year round. It's probably one of the more meaningful things that I've done, and it's only what you said 9 weeks, right?
Yeah.
You know, it's interesting because like you get into a routine on things, and then it's like and then it stops, and it's like, "Ah,
Ah, dang.
no more." I had to stop early because of my head condition, but, yeah, it's so beneficial, and I love it, and it's
One of the things that we ran into a couple years ago too is like in really being diligent about ensuring we're not doing any kind of like therapeutic prescription, right? What we have gone back and forth on, and there, it's such a gray area that we decided not to, but like giving like home exercises that can
mm,
kind of blend into like a PT realm. And so what
really?
we'd like to figure out eventually is like what is the truly like legal appropriate way to give people like an exercise plan to run on their own. But
Oh,
everything that we're doing is like supervised in person. And so like what we'd be worried about is like writing an exercise plan and then the participant going home and getting hurt doing something because there wasn't like that level of hands-on help with it.
uh,
So that's why we can't give, additional exercises to do on your own. As of right now, that's kind of where we landed decision wise. It kind of sucks, but like again, safety being the number one, that was sort of our decision there.
okay,
Yep.
interesting. Yeah, and it is one of those things that you know, I've taken some of the exercises that they showed me, and I
Yeah.
took them here,
Exactly. I
and
can't, that is entirely your decision. If that works for you and you learn some things, you're like, this really works, like, heck yeah, that's all
yeah,
you. It's just we aren't going to be the ones to directly say, like, you should do this. Like, if you take it and do it on your own, that is your agency. And like, I'm glad that that's, on the back end, like,
it
I'm hopeful that that's kind of what people are able to take from it. But
yeah.
as far as like direct prescription, we have to stay away from that.
Yeah, that's fair. And there's something to say about like doing it on your own versus like doing it with somebody.
Hmm.
Like, you know, especially with Iron Core, like you have a specific time that you have to show up, and if you don't show up, you're the people the coaches aren't able to like
Yeah.
they show up and
Yeah.
they're doing
They're
nothing.
throwing down for you too. So yeah,
Yeah.
we hope that's actually that was really good. In past years, we've had some attendance, like, problems just because it is, like, free,
Yeah.
but I think this year especially, it was, like, we really tried to appropriately communicate that it's, like, everyone wants to be here and they wanna do this, and so that's where you get the, like, level of motivation, like, even if you don't feel like doing it, like, there's that personal connection
Yeah.
that drives all of the majority of the benefit, right? So
Yeah, for sure. Let me ask you about this. A model that I've asked other like Danny Meyer when he was on, I asked him about this, but you mentioned that you don't charge for Iron Core.
yeah.
Um, one of the other philosophies that I've heard is like you charge, but if anybody needs it reduced or for free, that'll be granted no matter what.
Oh, yeah.
And so if even if someone's making $1 million and says, "I can't afford this," it's like, "Great, you know, we're not gonna ask questions necessarily, but,
Yeah, yeah.
like, you know, we don't know what your financial situation is, but, like, if this is a deterrent in any way, we'll make it free or we'll reduce the price."
That's a very interesting thought. As it sits right now, I personally, because we do some fundraising, like we get grants and stuff, and like,
Hmm.
admittedly, we kind of have the money we need through the grants. Like,
Not for year round,
not for
Dan.
year round. You're right. Okay. Um, that's legitimate. I honestly don't even have enough of an opinion to speak on that currently right now. I've
Sure.
liked that it's free in the past because um it removes all possibility of like we can stay completely mission focused. Like, there's no question that Iron Core is mission focused.
Yeah,
Not one.
yeah.
And like that's kind of what we do. And like, I said like it's a lot, like 2 hours a week is not small, but it's also not like absolutely wrecking me either.
Right.
So if we wanted to scale it up, you're definitely onto that. And that would make a lot of that could be a great way to go.
Yeah.
But for right now, to just make sure it's a very academically based, like it's academically based too. It's not necessarily professionally like
Sure.
so because there are students, I would feel maybe not quite the best about like marketing something as like strength and conditioning, but then with the students being the ones delivering it, it's safe and it's almost very appropriate, but it might not be to the same caliber as if you were to go to a fully certified,
Sure.
professional strength and conditioning coach.
Sure.
And so that's the one difference too, is in like the quality of the product is slightly different than what you might get elsewhere in the industry. And so that's another reason that like keeping it at least no cost to the participants currently is kind of a way I'd like to keep it for a while.
Okay.
Yeah,
Interesting. Yeah, I just it's just a different model,
it
and
is.
you're right. I don't. I'm curious. Like, so Cincinnati Tennis Foundation does the one that I just described, and I've that's not necessarily my decision,
Yeah.
but it is maybe helpful for keeping the doors open and stuff like that. Like, you have indoor courts, and indoor courts are kind of expensive, and
Yeah, yeah.
tennis balls are expensive, and all the equipment that goes into it. It's like, if you can pay and but I wonder how many people are being turned away because they don't want to ask for a reduced cost or no cost.
Yeah. Yeah,
Maybe
yeah.
someone's too prideful or ashamed, or I don't know, whatever it might be. I wonder if it's a barrier that is being created as a result.
Honestly, that's just been kind of the way we've rolled since. I've
Sure.
not thought too hard into it, and because we want to make it as much of an experience for all of our coaches as possible, because it's as much for them as it is for the, athletes,
Yeah.
then that's probably why, like, if I wouldn't want there to be any barrier to participation even for a second for the athletes, because like,
Yeah.
we're trying to get as many as possible, and that benefits, us more having more, so, like, minimal barriers, maximum participation, maximum
Sure.
benefit to kind of like the mission of the organization.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, from my point of view, if I wonder how many people you'd ask and said, "Hey, if we made this year round," and I know there's
Dude, I'd
other
probably put it at like
barriers.
70%. Like that we get a lot. That's probably our biggest, like,
Right.
why don't we do this year round?
And
I
and that
say it
that
every year.
and then it's like, would you pay if we did
Yeah.
do that, if we were able to get it year round? Because you're right, like the coordinators and the work that they do, like that's a lot for them to do year round,
There's
especially
like
if they have other jobs or
one of
whatever else.
the benefit the option there too is like there's some incredible people in the Cincinnati market that are specialized. So like for example, like Aaron Slusher and Mimi, like Ernest Stanley, they're both incredible trainers, and I depending on who,
Yeah,
and there's a couple others too, but like they have like paid models. So if
yeah,
there's someone like I need more of this, I want to win, we have people that we can refer to that are really tight.
true, true.
And so like that's definitely an option. So those things do exist. And
Yeah,
so like if that's something people want, we will definitely refer them.
yeah,
But it's just like us specifically,
yeah,
we don't.
sure.
Iron Core specifically doesn't do it.
Sure. I think Mimi does like CrossFit and stuff
Yeah,
like
Mimi
that.
does CrossFit. I think like Aaron's got a cool background. He does a lot of like the icebreakers. He's kind of more like he's like sled hockey for sure. So
Yeah,
like there's people that know there's other opportunities, and like the Bridge Adapted is incredible too. They have
sure.
like Danny Meyer, I'm sure talked to all about it.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
like if there's people that want additional opportunities in adapted participation, there's no shortage of it. And so if it's
It's
just
true.
because Iron Core isn't here all year, you could probably be doing something almost every month, like at least, if not every other week,
You're
with the bridge or something else.
you are absolutely right to say that, but the first thought that comes in my mind is there's nothing like Iron Core.
Yeah, yeah.
Like the Iron Core, I don't know. Like I'm in a lot of the adaptive sports,
Okay,
specifically tennis, and
okay.
I used to do basketball and stuff like that. I was gonna try to do the flying pig this year, but head injury and all that.
Yeah, tough.
Um, yeah, like I don't know. Like Iron Core is awesome. I can't stress that enough. So
That's incredible to hear, man. Like it is definitely a part of my soul. So hearing it
yeah.
validated, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, so anyway, that's my biggest criticism.
All
To
right,
long story
I'll
short.
take it. All right, I can live with that one. Sleep there.
Do you have a story from Iron Core that like has stuck with you about like a success story or
Oh
just
my Goodness. I mean, so, like, from a success story, like Jamie Benassi and so, like, we have some participants that were in Iron Core that are now on, like, the US national women's para hockey team,
Mhm.
um, and it's just, like, it's this is the hard part too in Iron Core. I hear so like, this is the first time, like, in talking to you, I've heard some of the components, like, for me, it's just you being able to, like, walk for 2 minutes instead of 30 seconds. Because me what I've emphasized in the past to the coaches is, like, the actual results of the test don't matter as much as you going through the testing process,
Uh-huh.
but hearing you, like, legitimately improve on some testing measures, I'm like, "Dude, that's sick."
Yeah.
And then some of the girls going to the national level in sport participation is incredible.
Yeah.
So there's so many, but me being the director, I'm not I don't get to hear them one on one.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm sure they're there, and I'm sure if you asked any coach, you would hear specific examples from athletes, like
Sure.
individual experiences. But I overwhelmingly hear the, like, we want more of it, and,
Yeah.
like, this was a really cool experience. And I mean, I've had, like, here's the other cool thing too. I've a lot of things that coaches have said specifically when they're applying to jobs or grad schools is, like, Iron Core is like the silver bullet on a resume
Really?
because it's such a unique opportunity. It's always a talking point. So
Oh.
it gives them a very legitimate springboard to communicate their above average capacity to do their job and be a good clinician because
Yeah.
they've participated in that. So that's, like, from a success standpoint, I like to think that, like, if you were gonna go to a mid-grade school and you got accepted to, like, Wash U for PT, it was, like, 2nd in the nation,
Yeah.
that if Iron Core is able to help contribute to that, that's a huge success story on top
Right.
of, like, for the coaches, not, like, just the athletes too.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Wow, that is pretty cool. Yeah, so, w what about mentorship and
Oh,
physical therapy
yeah.
within the Iron Core space?
So I've been extremely lucky to have a few Iron Core participants as or Iron Core coaches as, like, physical therapy students, and I'm always so excited when I get them because I know they're already going to be exceptional.
Yeah.
Because it's like if they've put the time into Iron Core, they've already worked one on one with a person. When they
Uh-huh.
come into the clinic, this is not the first time they're seeing people. They've already worked with one of the harder cases that they'll probably have in their entire, like, in their scholastic career. So,
Yeah.
like, they hit the ground running, and, like, the best example is, like, Sydney Ballou was an Iron Core gal forever and then was my student the last year. We had such a good time. Literally every day was incredible because we got to know each other already. We got rid of all of the, like, "Hey, how you doing?" intro BS, like, 3 years ago.
Uh-huh.
So, but by the time we got to the clinic, we were working hard. I knew exactly where she wanted to go with her career, and so I
Yeah.
was able to tailor her clinical experience towards that with the type of patients we were getting and the type of, like, diagnoses that she was seeing.
Cool.
So, like, from a clinical mentorship standpoint, I love Iron Core as a way, and, like, one of the things that we're diligent about in, like, the physical therapy world is I don't wanna be biased per se,
Yeah.
but a lot of the time, I'm Iron Core is such an academic setting that I'm more a consistent instructor for you the whole time. So getting to be the director and the overseer of Iron Core removes me from the, like, the level of familiarity that would be, like, ethically sketchy. So
Yeah.
I just get to see you in so many different scenarios, and I get to, like, use Iron Core as a springboard for some of your more direct clinical education.
Yeah.
And so, like, I am always so excited, and, like, I straight up intentionally try and get those students that I notice that do really well because I know they're going to fit in excellent. And my clinic
Yeah.
is not, like, easy by any stretch. Like, sports medicine is really busy. It's very high
Mhm.
volume. We see a lot of complex patients. The timing needs to be pretty good, and you're gonna need to be on your stuff. So, like, knowing that you have the physical and, like, academic capacity to hang with me before you start in the clinic is I really value that.
Yeah. What do you think, the students desperately the students who don't go through, let's say, Iron Core,
Yeah.
what do you think is missed by not doing Iron Core?
Uh, just, like, early exposure, man, like, getting it get because in PT, it's as much communication as it is academics,
Yeah.
and so if you're, like, the best student in the world and you're rocking A's on everything you get, but you can't hold a conversation, like, you're host.
True.
You're not gonna be as well prepared to do this job.
Mhm.
And so I think what Iron Core does, agnostic, I mean, the disability familiarity is incredible. That's like
Yeah.
that's one thing that I think, because like in PT world, right, for an able-bodied person that's never touched a wheelchair before, and you have a patient, I mean, not maybe not even like long-term disability, but like you're in the hospital and they have a like a lower extremity like fracture,
Yeah.
and they can't walk around as much. Like that can be really disorienting to a lot of people. But in Iron Core, if you have the familiarity with like, durable medical equipment, hey, this is how you put a lock on a wheelchair. Like
Yeah.
this space, this is how you do a transfer, like this, that kind of stuff.
Right.
If you get that as like a sophomore in undergrad,
Right.
like who knows how good you're going to be by the time you're like on your first rotation as a second year PT student in acute care. Like that's going to be bread like cake.
Yeah.
You're going to be looking for those additional complex opportunities, not just freaking out at the like basic wheelchair stuff.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
think that's what's missed by not doing, and I'm not saying Iron Core is the only place that gives early exposure, but that is a specific emphasis of the program.
Right.
And I think as much as we can do that and be pervasive with that throughout like medicine and early academic experiences, like I think we
Yeah.
should push for that as an like industry.
Yeah, yeah, it is interesting. There is like a growth that I see in like the first time that I meet them
Oh, dude,
to the
week
end.
1 to 2 is a little weird almost always, and I learned
Yeah,
to quit freaking out about it. I used to be so bent up about that after week 1 because I'm like, "Oh, these kids are so weird. They're not gonna be able to talk. The athlete's gonna hate it." And I was like, "Just give them 2 weeks, man."
yeah,
Like, it's like because 'cause you're building it's no one's gonna be 100% comfortable with someone the first time they meet 'em. That's just not
true,
a thing. So
true.
it's like you're just kinda getting to know each other, and, like, as long as they're being safe, I don't care if the exercise isn't 100% perfect,
Yeah,
because you're gonna learn what each other do and don't like, you're gonna learn the styles, and then
yep,
you're gonna be comfortable trying stuff. So by week 3,
yeah.
if we're not doing great, that's when I start intervening more, but most people are rocking and rolling by then.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Yeah, and I'm an open book like when it comes to my own disability.
Yeah, yeah.
It's fun to like kind of try to chisel at that awkwardness a little bit of like,
Sure.
no, it's okay. I'll make wheelchair jokes or whatever else,
Right.
and they'll be like,
I'm
oh,
sh that I'm
okay,
sure that helps them so much.
yeah,
It's 'cause, like, this is a in this current generation, everybody's, like, very, intentional about their language, right?
yeah,
And so that's gonna be good and bad for sure, but I think the being okay with, like, a little bit of, off colorness, like, that would just help everyone.
yeah,
So, like,
yeah,
the fact
yeah,
that you're willing to just, like, send it and make people a little bit, politically uncomfortable, political like, in the incorrectness, like,
yeah, yeah,
whatever we wanna call that, not necessarily direct political, but just being a little bit off color on the
right,
jokes, like, that's helpful.
yeah,
That's reality, and so, like, some of these kids would benefit from that
right.
more than you would think, right?
Yeah, yeah, and I always wear a shirt like this where it's like, one of my favorite shirts that I didn't make is, it just says leg day, and it's a guy in a wheelchair, and I'll show up with that, like,
That's so freaking funny.
so, like, that I don't even have to say anything, it
Yeah.
just, like, lowers the temperature, if you will, so,
Indeed.
um, yeah, so there was one other thing, um there I lost it. I was gonna ask. Oh shoot. Oh yeah. Okay. So you were talking about language,
Yes.
and this is like one of my favorite things to talk about on the podcast.
Please.
So I know you're able-bodied, but in some able-bodied people have been like, well, I'm not disabled, so I have no room to speak. I want your opinion on this.
Okay.
Within the disabled space, some people don't like the word handicap.
Oh.
And I wanted to know what your thoughts are.
That's really interesting. Actually, our first logo for Iron Core it was a modified, like the wheelchair logo.
Yeah.
It was a modified version of that put the I and the C in the wheelchair logo. And
Oh,
then Jake Counts, the like Dragons coach, he's like, "Man, I like that, but like you might want to change it a little bit." I think I actually just imitated him pretty well. It's exactly what he sounds like. But so like that was interesting to me, and because I don't have a specific attachment. I want people to feel included and feel like this is their thing. So
yeah.
that was an easy lateral for me.
Yeah.
Um, Not specifically like handicapped or disabled or whatever. It's just I want people to not have to, like, walk on eggshells when talking about stuff as much.
Bingo.
Yeah, I feel like you just the more direct conversations you can have, and if someone I think what matters a lot more is that you're, like, you legitimately care about the population that you're serving, and, like, the back end of what you're saying is what matters, and, like, the connection.
Yeah.
If you use the wrong words, like, honestly, who cares?
Right.
To a degree, right? If you're just spewing racial slurs and, like, that's probably not stellar,
Yeah.
but at the same time, if you use a slightly different word that, like it was interesting, like, the word retarded when I was younger, I actually liked it because I got called a retard all the time because I, like, had the stupid pencil grip, right? Going back to the
Yeah.
freaking pencil grip, and what was good about that, though, is all my dude buddies, that was like a normal word. Like everyone was a retard, so no one was a retard because like that's what we called it. When we stigmatized it a couple years ago, it became a lot more intense and it
Yeah.
was like more jarring. And I'm not here to say yes or no, but it's when the like gravity of certain words gets so intense that you like it's like saying Voldemort or something.
Yeah.
I don't know if I love that.
Yeah.
I but at the same time, I want people to feel included. And I want it to I don't know what the best solution is, but I'd say personally, I'm a little bit more on the aggressive side. So like I'm gonna call my buddies retards
Yeah.
sometimes. That's just kind of how it's gonna go. As
Right.
far as handicapped disabled, I admittedly like have not had to consider that as much. And so like I'm a default to the people that it matters for, right?
Well, yeah. So my general philosophy is I don't care what you call me. Like again,
Yeah.
I told you my friends called me cripple back in high school, and it's like yes, that's a derogatory word, but why? Why?
Yeah.
Society dubbed it as a derogatory word, and that's basically it.
Yeah.
And it's just another word, and like I've always said like if someone ever called me a cripple to mean a derogatory statement, I'd probably just laugh because
Yeah.
it's like, who are you? Like, I don't know you. Like, and so I think in today's world, what we do a lot, it seems like we try to put it on you, the non-disabled person, to use the proper terminology, and yet we don't turn it on the disabled person to say, hey, like, toughen up. It's just a freaking word. Like, get over it.
Dude, if you're here for that, I'm here for it. Like that
Yeah,
makes sense because then you just build more resilience in humans in general. I feel like you could never go
exactly.
wrong with more resilience.
Mhm.
There's a decent amount of I'm not gonna say that um, offline for sure, but like the uh the less derailed people get on stupid things, I feel like the more energy we can spend on stuff that matters.
Right. Well, and then the other thing, like, from a physical therapist, from the coach's standpoint at Iron Core, it's like, I wonder how many people go into Iron Core as coaches thinking, "Oh, I've gotta be careful what words that I use around this person."
We had, it was interesting. We used to in our training have something like a person first language model.
I hate that.
Yeah, yeah, me too. Well, it was really funny because one of the people that was gonna give it couldn't be there on the training day, so it fell to me. And the immediate example that I thought of, I was like, because it's like they're not a homeless person, they're a person experiencing homelessness, and
Yeah.
I was like, they're not a homeless bum, they're a bum experiencing homelessness. So it's like to me that part kind of blows because it seems like you're using extra words to convey the exact same topic. You're just rewiring the English language to be more annoying.
Yes.
That I'm not here for.
Yeah.
Like making sure people feel like they're in the right place. That can be so wildly different. That's where like a little bit full disclosure, I did not have emotional intelligence for many years of my life. I took a LinkedIn learning class on it, bro. Like I realized it was important, but had none of those skills. So I just kind of like I read some books and learned up on it. And what seems much more important to me is that like tailoring it to the individual person you're talking to matters way more than these like gross guidelines
Yes.
where it's like you just can't say disabled or you can't say retard. Like I'm
Yeah.
not gonna go up like to you. I'm probably gonna say some like horrific stuff after this. And it's gonna be hilarious. But like to I don't know maybe 8-year-old kid that who just found out about their disability and be a little more guarded because that
Right.
it's probably more fresh for them.
Right.
I feel like
Yeah.
that mattered. That's probably it's the why behind it versus the what probably, at least to me, seems like a more worthwhile thing to get after.
Yeah, the person first language is stupid too because it's like when I say I'm disabled, like
Yeah.
I is saying "I'm" is the person
Yeah.
first, or "you're disabled" is putting the person
Yeah,
first
right, it's just, like, basic grammar, yeah.
instead of individual with the disability, which is a freaking
That's what
mouthful.
I'm saying, it takes too long to freaking say, like, I'd rather spend time on the thing that we actually care about that we wanna change versus just, like, correctly categorizing it.
Yes, exactly. And then the last point that I'll make on this, and then we can move on, is I just think that that inclusive language that
Yeah.
is trying to be taught out is like it wasn't until I got on this podcast that somebody told me handicap was an offensive word, and I was like, no. And then this person asked that they're like, are you, now that I've explained it to you, are you going to keep using it? And I'm like, yeah, probably.
Well, dude, it's like also, I've never been, taught handicap was offensive by someone who's handicapped.
Yeah,
So, there's
right,
that.
right. And it feels like, the person first language was like an able-bodied person who's
That's
like
what I'm saying,
just
it's
empathetic.
some nerd that, like okay, I gotta stop. Yeah, yeah.
We're
All sentiments are shared.
we're gonna get ourselves in trouble.
Yes, we are.
We're gonna get canceled.
Yeah.
Careful.
Yeah, right. And yeah, I work in a lot of specific areas. That's the thing, in the diverse group of people that I work with, I like that's why I'm saying tailoring it to the individual person matters because, like, in performing arts, that's like the LGBTQ plus community is extremely prominent in there. So it's like
Yeah.
some people, again, they make the funniest trans jokes I've ever heard in my entire life. And so I'm not gonna be the first one to say it, but I'll jump on it there for sure.
Right, right.
But it's like just get to know the person that you're talking to and
Yeah.
like tailor your approach to language based on the person. That
Yeah.
seems to be the most effective way for me.
Yeah, yeah. There's still something there that's like, nah, just like be yourself.
Yeah,
And
just
if
be a
it's
human, right? Be a
eh,
good human. Like,
yeah, and if you use offensive language like disability, like something as small as disability or a handicap or whatever the new word is today, it's
yeah.
like me. No, that person is just self teaching that they should be offended by that, and they shouldn't be.
There's
And
also
they need to get over
there's like the mean funny curve too, you know? Like as
it.
long as you're slightly funnier than you are mean, it's fine.
Yes,
Anytime you drop under that, that's when it gets questionable. But if it's right on the top side of that line, then like we're good, man.
I always tell my friends, I'm like, "Hey, I don't mind you making cripple jokes, wheelchair jokes,
Yeah.
but if it's stupid, I'm
It's
going
stu
to let you know."
Yeah, exactly. That's it. As long as it's slightly funnier than it is mean or stupid.
Like the worst one, is like like you're going down the hallway
Yeah.
or on the sidewalk and someone yells speed limit. It's like, oh my god, like I hear that all the time.
To me, that's still funny.
It is funny hearing it for the first time,
Yeah,
right?
okay, like on the 15th, I bet it gets boring. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
like
fair.
the 100th time, like I've heard it every day since the 2nd grade. I'm like, I'm over it. So it's like, anyway. Okay. Anything else on Iron Core that you want to talk about?
Man, it's like it's such a cool opportunity and like every year, like I will say it's like it's a decent amount of time, but like at the end when we take a picture with like the group, every single year I'm like, "Nah, I'm gonna keep doing this for the rest
Yeah,
of my existence. I
that's
have
awesome.
no excuse not to." It's such an incredible opportunity for so many people and like now that we're 6 years in, like we're starting to see the legitimate results of this down the line. Like we have athletes in the Paralympics. We have
Yeah,
coaches doing who are legitimate clinicians now working with adapted athletes. So like I'm starting to get to see the benefit and like
yeah,
going on what I was talking about earlier, seeing people doing cool things is what keeps me going. So like
yeah,
I'll be here a while. Yeah.
yeah, cool. Um, so I want to talk about the disabled community a little bit.
Sure.
So you're able-bodied.
Yes.
What why do you care about this community versus other communities?
Yeah, man. So this is a little intense, but here we are. So I had triplet younger brothers. And when they were born, one of them, so the twins made it, and we're thinking it was a different. I was also one, so I don't quite remember. This is secondhand,
Sure.
but there was a really good chance that the brother that died was going to have some like moderate to significant physical and or cognitive disabilities.
Mm,
And so the like why behind that is like if I had a little brother that was this, I wouldn't I'd do everything in my power. And like Tommy, for example, his brother was disabled, and
Yeah.
so, like, the thought that I could be making a change for this, like, little brother that I never got to have, that's pretty significant. That's, like,
Huh.
the why, in addition to, like, wanting just, being moderately altruistic, and I feel like the yield for the energy that I put in for the disabled community is so much greater than I would if I was, like, the 15th person trying for professional football,
Yeah,
right?
you're so right. Like, I mean, if I was an able-bodied person going to Iron Core, I probably wouldn't be telling you how awesome it is necessarily. Like,
Yeah.
if that makes any sense, like, it could be just like, going to a personal trainer and
Yeah, like
going
a
to LA Fitness or something like
sure.
that, but, like, Iron Core, because I'm disabled and they cater it towards my disability, and, like, that's not something that you see at when I go to LA Fitness or whatever else
No.
to work with a personal trainer,
It's
you
like
know?
and then on top of that too, like I was saying, I have such like, I'm so lucky that, like, my work and personal life, I feel like they are one and the same,
Yeah,
and, like, because I like using my mind, like, the adapted community it's really cool. I get to do all the, like, tinkering on, like, the specific gear that we need to work with, and I get to think outside the bun
yeah,
more than I would in an adapt so it keeps me more intellectually stimulated as well, on, like, the selfish side, like, that's not necessarily good. I wouldn't wish a disability on most people, right?
sure.
Some people, yeah, not most.
Yeah, yeah,
But,
yeah.
like but, like, that's also cool. So, like, from a kinda, like, a nerdy, like, mechanical engineering standpoint, it's like, "Oh, this is sick, like, how are we gonna do this?" On top of the, social connection and the, like, whatever we'll call it, altruistic or otherwise
Yeah,
motivation.
yeah. Interesting. Wow, that's interesting that you had, that you could have had a brother with a disability, and you think about that. I'm curious, I think I could have had, like, an uncle or an aunt, at some point, and my grandma miscarried,
Yeah.
right? And that's not someone that I really think about because it's like they didn't like, almost they didn't exist, you know?
It's
It's like,
it's interesting too because, like, that the difference I think is that brother, he was alive for, like, 2 days. So
oh,
he wasn't that's I think the difference. If he was miscarried when it was, like, halfway, I probably wouldn't be thinking about it.
yeah,
This is, like, a real person
yeah,
that, like, we kind of could do some physical testing on to, like, know things,
yeah,
and so that's probably what makes it a more legitimate memory
yeah,
than it would've if it was just, like, a typical miscarriage.
yeah. Well, I'm gonna kinda segue pretty drastically,
Yeah,
but
sure.
what frustrates you most about how adaptive athletes are viewed?
It under this is, like, PT in general, or, like, the my brand of performance is we just underdose the shit out of everything. It's like, a lot of the times people are super afraid to, like, push people, and
Oh,
it's like, why you're doing everyone a disservice.
yeah.
'Cause if you're keeping someone like, "All right, we're gonna give you these, like, little dink ass interventions." Sorry, I'm getting
Yeah.
heated. I apologize to anyone, but, like,
Yes.
um, that doesn't do anyone any good. So it's like, let's push things a little bit within the bounds of, like, make sure you know your disability beforehand. Like, if
Right,
there's a cardiac, consideration, you don't wanna be pushing it. But if there's no limitations, why are we just staying in this, like, little comfort zone
right.
when we can be getting people up to that 1%?
Yeah,
So that's the biggest, like, limitation, and it's not even like in my specific population, like with the students and whatnot, it's kind of okay. We actually recommend against doing, like, complete max testing because this is a training environment, and
yeah,
you're getting towards where there could be some, like, physical issues, and which you kind of personally experienced, in a very real way,
yeah,
and so we try and minimize the risk as much as possible, but, like, in especially, like, in my clinical practice to my students, like, when they're working with me on, like, a legitimate patient, I'm like, "Dude, we're gonna get them going as soon as we possibly can." Like,
yeah,
don't, like, let them tell you stop.
yeah.
Don't just assume that it can't be done. Like, take it
Right,
take 'em to their limits, see what they can do, 'cause
right.
that feels incredible for anyone, not
Yeah,
just, like, able-bodied or otherwise, like, kinda pushing yourself. I was feeling incredible after that, so I wanna make sure I can, give that experience to anyone that I'm working with as well.
yeah. I love that. I think don't assume is like a very underrated comment, right?
Yeah.
Like it's it's so important not to just assume that somebody can or cannot do something and test it,
Yes.
you know? And especially with, especially with spina bifida, spina bifida specifically with my disability, it's like there's so many different shapes and sizes of spina bifida that like you can't read a textbook and say, "All right,
No.
this is their limitation."
No, not at all, and, like, this is the interesting part, like, so Mimi, right? She's a great example. She is, like, the PT of all PT. She did her neuro resident she's an athletic trainer. She did her neuro residency at the VA, and, like,
Mhm.
she is, like in my head, she is, like, the apex, like, adapted PT.
Yeah.
Admittedly, my training, I don't have very much neuro, but I have a lot of sports and I have a lot of musculoskeletal. So
Yeah.
there's like some things that I feel like I might not quite understand all the way about some of these the more like nuanced like pathophysiologic processes in the disabilities that I work with.
Mhm.
And so like in some cases I feel like I don't know, not like imposter syndrome per se, but like I wish I could be doing more to like truly action the potential of the people with these disabilities, but
Yeah.
that's one thing I realized is like even if I had a more acute understanding of the disease process itself, everyone's a unicorn, and so they're gonna have so it's like the communication aspect of like, what do you feel right now? How is this? I feel like that
Right.
gives me a lot more information than if I would have known like what specific, decussation level is this injury affecting and all that.
100%.
So that's
Yeah.
kind of my like, clinical pearl from across the years, right?
Yeah. I like that. I think one of the things that frustrates me about adaptive athletes is and it kinda goes along the same vein of, like, don't assume, is, like, I feel like, you see parents and, like, teachers and, like, just people around especially kids, they treat them with, like, kid gloves to where,
Yeah.
like, they're an egg that'll break.
That's man, my favorite thing is watching someone get in a sled for the first time, watching a kid and them falling over and the parents like shitting the bed sorry, like freaking out
Yeah.
on like just like, oh my god, they're gonna die. And then the kid just popping right back up and be like, oh, it's cool, and just keep
Yeah.
it going. And like I can't fault the parents entirely too, because like in a lot of these complex medical cases, like that parent probably spent 5 years keeping that child alive. Like
Right.
there was probably some really gnarly stuff that happened in early life that
Uh,
like I get it, man. Like because like my brothers, right? So like the one of them died and
yeah.
then the two were premature by like a lot. And
Yeah.
so my parents spent the first year just keeping those kids breathing. So,
Um,
like, the fact that these parents are a little bit protective of their kids, like, I can 1,000% empathize with that. But then that's where doing your, like, due diligence as a clinician to get all the research and being like, "Hey, this is the load tolerance of this kid.
mhm.
They can hang with a couple hits. They're gonna be fine.
Yeah.
Don't hit them in this specific spot.
Right.
Don't let them get to this specific level of exertion, but, like, let them play around in this safe zone more than
Yeah.
you would normally." And, like, extremely psychologically liberating for the kid because 'cause they're like, "What?" Just bouncing around doing
Yeah.
kid stuff, and the parents get a little bit of like, "Okay, like, the resilience is there's maybe a little bit more here than we initially
Right.
were thinking about." So,
Right.
that's
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that's fascinating. My mom has a quote, and I apologize for anybody who's heard this before, but it's a great quote. I love quoting it. It's if you break a bone, it'll heal. If you break their spirit, it'll paralyze them for a lifetime.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
and it's
exactly.
like, oh, and she lived by that, and that's
Yeah.
I'm so grateful to my parents and shaping me to be who I am, and yeah, like I think in the same vein, I like to especially with my tennis people, I like to talk about independence.
Yeah.
Like when I do camps and stuff like that, like let's say we're getting lunch, I'll challenge them with a word of the day, and like oftentimes one of the days is independence,
Yeah.
and it's like, hey, you know, if you can carry your own lunch tray and your mom's doing it, maybe try to do it on your own.
Yes, that's like and that's an interesting one too, and I even noticed myself doing it, like, being a, like, provider,
Yeah,
I will sometimes be doing things for like patients that they theoretically can do on their own, or it's just like it in to like an able-bodied person not assisting with like opening a door or something seems like we're being a dick, like,
Yeah.
you know, in some cases. But what I've realized a lot of the time is like not like being aggressively helpful is more appropriate. Like
Yeah.
I even noticed that earlier, like when you drop the whatever under the thing, like, hey, you want me to grab it? I'm like, no, you can figure it out. You got it right there. Like that's just like normal humans being normal humans, right?
Yeah.
So empathize with like an able-bodied want to just like not seem like an asshole and just, you know, like be like generally a helpful person
Right.
while simultaneously not like taking away agency from someone who's disabled or has some limitation in some way.
Yeah. So Jake Counts was on my podcast. He was like episode 3 or something like that. And
Yeah.
and one of the things that he said was that was awesome is like, you know, you don't want to help somebody. Man, he said it so well, and I'm gonna paraphrase in a not as good of a way, but it's something like you don't want to help somebody uh who's learning how to do it. But like for example, when it comes to loading a wheelchair in your car,
Okay.
like if we're trying to get somewhere and like
Like
you've already loaded your wheelchair in your car 1,000 times and my help will be faster and more efficient for us getting to that location,
sick.
like that's fine.
Yeah.
Do
Okay.
that. But if they're learning and this is their third time learning how to take apart their chair and put it in their car, maybe let them struggle kind
Yeah.
of thing.
Okay.
So it was an interesting thing like that of like, you know, if they already know how to do it, go ahead and help them. And that's fine. Now when I feel like that's not all encompassing, right? Like if I'm training and I'm pushing up a hill, like there's a quad that I knew back in the day that was training for the Paralympics or
Yeah.
and he said that he had a hill near his house that he'd push up and it was a pretty lots of people walk up and down the hill and multiple times he would have people come up and just start pushing him up the hill.
Yeah.
And he's like, "No, I'm training right now. Like I'm struggling on purpose trying to go up this hill." So
Yeah. Yeah.
like, you know, I think the best way to go about it is generally ask. Now with kids, it's a little bit different
Tougher.
because
Yeah. Because you're like, what's the?
if you do ask, they'll say yes, probably,
Mhm.
and then you're not forcing them to struggle
Yeah.
and to learn it.
That's like I noticed too, having been in like the PT world, like especially with like babies, like it's so funny. My wife's family has like, dude, we're about to push like 8 babies. Like there's gonna be so many because she's got like 4 sisters, so there's just like
Lot.
so many. And a lot of the times, one thing that the infants like being a physical therapist, like I've done my pediatric training, and so I know like you know with young kids like working on reflexes and like doing like tummy time and all that. None of the kids like hanging out with me because most of the time, like babies, like they seem to cry more frequently. But like when they turn into like, you know, toddlers and whatnot, they start to really enjoy it because like
Yeah.
I feel like with babies, I'm always just like, okay, let's try this new thing. Like, cause I want to see them like physically develop. And it's, I promise it's coming from a place of like, you know, love and admiration and like wanting the best for the kids. But
Yeah.
it seems aggressive at the time because I'm just like making them do things that they don't theoretically want to do. But like being in the rehab world, like I'm always trying to get people back to doing stuff, with, like
Yeah.
autonomy and you know agency and trying you know pushing is
Right.
more common in my world. So I've been accused of being a little extra in some cases, but like it's always kind of from that place. Like,
Yeah.
hey, let them figure it out and learn things and you know grow and progress.
Yeah. Okay. So I want to talk about growing adaptive sports and the popularity and
Yeah,
whatnot. And one of the things that you told me before the episode via text was something that you want to talk about is why adaptive athletes and performing artists deserve the same high resource science backed conditioning as traditional athletes.
yeah. So specifically, here's the thing. It's all money based, right? Like I'm not gonna be straight up like
Yeah.
if you we need to figure out a way to show people that like okay, dude, ESPN the Ocho exists. All right, there's professional pillow fighting. People watch that so much. They're like, there's no reason. Like, dude, wheelchair rugby is sick.
Yeah.
It's so fun to watch, and I think like what we don't do quite as much of is like show or showcase the unique aspects of some of these sports that can be like really interesting.
Mhm.
So in performing arts specifically too, like we'll use the UC dance team as an example, right? They're kind of like a weird hybrid between like, sort of they're not in the athletic department, but they do athletic stuff. And so like their funding's a little bit less. And one thing that I guarantee people would like is just like watching them. They're so cool. Like
Mm.
if we in adapted athletics, in performing arts, in whatnot, if we kind of thought outside the bun on like how do we use these skills that we spend so much time on? Because like I mean I get it, just like lobbying from like a well, I just deserve more money standpoint. That doesn't work. Like, let's go make money somewhere.
Yeah.
We do cool shit. Like, people will want to see this if we organize events or do things that would make people want to come and pay and see us. Like in performing arts, especially more than adapted sports, because like performing arts, that's exactly what they do. Like,
Mhm.
you guys are impressive performers. Like, I think if we put some of our time, not just in the UC dance team, that's just like one example as far as like someone who's limited, funding wise, it's a little bit different organizationally, but everyone that I work with, if we can figure out different ways to get people engaged, and we have AI, we have social media, we have all these things, it's
Mhm.
much easier to build, exposure. If
Yeah.
we saw dudes getting trucked playing sled hockey and getting like dumped over, like people would want that the same way that they're watching able-bodied hockey.
Yeah.
Will it ever be like the exact same? Like, is the NHL, or is there going to be the same viewership for like para hockey as there is the NHL? Like, probably not. Same thing. Like,
Right.
women's sports is probably not going to be the same for the WHL as there is the NHL, but enough to like garner resources for sure.
Mhm.
Like, people will
Mhm.
watch. People are betting on freaking marble races. Like, you think it. You think there wouldn't be bets on like adapted sports? Like, no freaking way. Like, that would
Right.
be sick. So I think there's more to be explored on just like unique avenues of revenue generation, that
Mm.
if people think outside the bun a little bit and are willing to try like slightly off things, it's not like, okay, we're not just going to do like a game and just expect people to show up for a game. Like, let's do like a hype event or something where we like build some team spirit and like
Yeah.
do a freaking wheelchair joke off between the athletes, like locker room style before the
Yeah.
game, and like the Bananas. Like, like Savannah Bananas?
No.
Oh, they're a baseball team. Oh, sort of. They call it Banana Ball. So it's like a minor league quote baseball team. You know the Harlem Globetrotters?
Yeah.
It's the baseball version of Harlem Globetrotters.
Uh,
They sell out Great America every time because they do like dance breaks and like stupid stuff in between innings. And it's like that way would be an incredible way. Cause like I'm be honest, I've not met many adapted athletes that aren't also funny because they all have all these like just completely off the chain jokes
yeah.
just on deck. Like, if we did some way to garner, interest and like investment in like the idea of the team versus just specifically the sport,
Yeah.
I think we could do, because not one person playing adapted sports doesn't have an incredible backstory.
Yeah.
Like, not a chance. Everyone has fought such, most of them have had some pretty crappy thing happen, either
Yeah.
acute injury wise or chronic injury wise. So you get the story attached to the sport,
Yeah.
and then people are locked in forever. You get your revenue. You can go spend the money on the higher level resources because you now have it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Exactly. So it's interesting that you say that because from an awareness or popularity standpoint, like one of the reasons why I started this podcast is to get the disability awareness out there.
Yeah.
Right. And before I had my head injury, I was putting out weekly workout videos, tennis videos, something like that's outside of the podcast that was interesting. And like one of the videos that did very well on Instagram uh was Hendo. He was on the podcast. And
Okay.
do you know who Hendo is?
Not
He
immediately.
has a rotation plasty, so he has a backwards foot.
Oh, okay.
And so I put a clip of him talking about his rotation plasty, and then I took video of him just wiggling his backwards foot and stuff like that.
I'm sure
And
that
like
like got tons of views, right? People,
that has 600,000 views on
let's go.
Instagram.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, for sure.
crazy.
I know.
So like, yeah, you're right. Things like that are like very digestible to the average person, that
Yeah.
the average person just like finds interesting or unique, or just like, what the heck is going on here?
I
Like,
know, right?
never seen a backwards foot before, and here I am seeing one, and it's wiggling. He's wiggling his toes and
Like,
fully
dude,
functional.
if he was playing like some kind of sport, like there's no way. I mean, okay, so I personally don't bet because I'm affiliated with the NCAA. Like, I don't do any betting because I'm
Yeah.
in sports, but like all my degenerate buddies would 1,000% be throwing money on the dude with the backwards foot. Like, no way that wouldn't be a thing. And then that gets people watching the games and all that. So like,
Right.
just like you were saying, there are many ways to build involvement besides like what is typically expected of a sporting organization.
Yes.
So I think that's the way that it can get done in performing arts, in all that. Combat sports immediately, admittedly, they have a good viewership. Like they don't
Yeah.
need to do a whole lot. Like people love watching guys beat the shit out of each other. So like that,
Yeah.
and girls.
Yeah.
But like in adapted in performing arts, like build more of a community around it,
Yeah.
or an interest beyond the specific sport. And I think that's where you get your involvement from.
Yeah, and I also to take that up just a step is you know Ronda Rousey,
Yeah.
right? Like everybody knows that name because like she was a crazy MMA fighter, but she also was kind of a performer,
Yeah.
if you will,
Conor
right?
McGregor, same thing.
Conor McGregor,
Pretty
same thing.
average fighter, slightly above average fighter, incredible businessman
Yeah.
showman. Like,
Yeah,
yeah.
and then you have Caitlin Clark, who like nobody watched. Well, I shouldn't say that.
I know. Family Guy says everything we need to know about that one. Yep.
Very few people watch the WNBA, and now
It took one person,
yeah,
literally one girl,
right,
switched it entirely. Now Iowa
right,
State's selling out every time. Like,
right.
that's what I'm saying, dude.
So it's like okay, who is that person in the sled hockey space?
Well,
Who is
that
that person in the tennis space, the
dude, don't even,
basketball,
yeah,
whatever else?
don't even like talk about like, the veteran community being plugged into that too. You have a
Yeah,
lot of disabled veterans, and so like you get their story associated with it. Like America loves our vets. Like that's just like kind of baked into
yeah,
American spirit. So you
yeah,
start combining all these like, you know, emotional appeals within
yeah.
your stuff, and you're good.
Right,
Like, yeah.
right. Yeah, and if I had all the time in the world, I would come out to various things. Like I want to have Renee on eventually. I
Oh
might come
yeah.
out to watch sled hockey or like I don't know. I had Yvonne and Eric Bolts from they do adaptive cooking,
Oh, cool.
and like they have all these like different gears, and like I want to go out to their farm and and just like do some recording, and like I can put the audio of the podcast and just kind of put that the other b-roll of them doing adaptive cooking and stuff like that over top of it. And like I don't know. There's a lot of big things that I want to do with the podcast, and
Sure.
I think it'd be super cool to like again that's just stuff that's digestible to people that like
Yeah,
people are
dude.
fascinated by.
Dude, I spent like an hour and a half on TikTok looking at Louisiana Crawfish Co. Like, you're telling me I wouldn't do this stuff with adapted too? Like, not a
Yeah,
chance. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So anyway, I wanted to kind of talk to you about growing the adaptive community and spreading awareness. I thought that I would have a disagreement with you based on just what you said via the text, but I think we're more aligned.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't think we should just be throwing money at the adaptive sports community just because.
There's no money to throw. Like, you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Like, you
right.
go, yeah, it's you need the business side, but I don't see why those two couldn't intersect perfectly.
Right, exactly, and that's my thought is like I don't think like the NBA should be throwing like be
No.
forced to throw money at the wheelchair basketball
No, it's a
programs
terrible
and stuff
like
like that.
the biggest thing I can say is like, so specifically before I started in my current clinical role, there was very minimal involvement with performing artists in my like current company, right?
Uh,
What Dr. Lee and I had been just like, there's a study out there that shows there's something on the side of like 10x the amount of pediatric performers as there are football players. We
mm,
put a ton of resources in the sports medicine world into football, which understandably so. It does garner a lot of revenue and it's a really cool sport. Like, I
yeah,
am not disparaging football at all, but
yeah,
it's just like the amount of like private dance studios. And oh, by the way, most of these private dance studios are very expensive. So your demographic population has monetary means to support this activity. If you specifically dedicate a career towards serving that population who
mhm,
is slightly more economically advantaged, and there's a ton of them, like what business model doesn't want to take advantage of that?
right,
And so
right,
we had to justify that for like 2 years. Now we're kicking butt and we have tons. And so tons of patients, and that's like majority, like a 60% of my practice almost.
mhm,
But all that to say, like, sometimes you just gotta move, shake things up a little bit and like follow the numbers, not just the like history,
Yeah.
because the numbers will help
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, the other thing with the podcast is like, you know, because I have a lot of disabled people on the show, or people that are associated with the disabled community, I've been thinking a lot about, like, if the average person watched the podcast,
Yeah.
would they find value, or would they find intrigue in what we're talking about? And I think I think the answer right now is no.
Okay.
Like, generally speaking, because I mean, I do 2 to 3 hour podcasts. Like, why does somebody want to like spend that much time learning about a community that they might not care about,
Yeah.
right? And so it's like, you know, the way, like, you know, Mozzie got in a car wreck, he got
Yeah.
kidnapped.
Some of those are so interesting. That's what I'm saying. Like that would get people locked in. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, like stuff like that is very interesting, and I think I think I'm maybe 70% of the way there. Like,
yeah.
there's probably more things that I need to think about to make it even more digestible to the average person, that they'd care enough to want to listen.
Yeah.
Um, but I don't necessarily think I have to make the full podcast digestible for everyone either. That's where, you know, I do shorts, which are like usually 30 seconds or less. And then I do segments, which are 5 to 10 minutes long. And so, you know, that's where somebody that's maybe not as is caring about the disabled community, that's where they can go, and
Yeah.
they
Exactly.
can watch that 5 to 10 minute clip, and or the shorts, and they don't necessarily have to watch the full podcast uh to get their toes wet in what I'm doing here, you
No,
know?
I completely agree. Like limited attention spans as is, the more
Yeah.
30-second availability there is, like you're probably gonna have a high yield from that stuff.
Yeah. So anyway, that was an interesting conversation. Just out of curiosity, don't look at your watch.
Oh, sure.
How long do you think we've been going for?
2.5?
Okay,
Where are we
okay.
at?
You're actually spot on. Most people guess much under than what we've been doing, but we're at
Where are
2
we at?
hours, 40 minutes.
Oh, it's sick. I love these. I
Yeah.
being raging, I could do this for like 4 hours.
I
Like, I
know, I
love it.
know, I
So
know. Well, I have a bunch more stuff, but I wanna try
yeah,
to
keep it.
respect our time, and
Sure.
keep it within the 3 hour mark, let's say. So,
Sure.
but tell me about StageFit. You've mentioned it a little
Yeah.
bit.
So it's that came with when I met my wife in 2020. We actually went to like coffee on like a business proposal before we even started dating.
Oh.
But so with my background in like we'll say it like human performance, right? The same limitation to the adapted community in good like science-backed training
Mhm.
was very, very prevalent in performing artists as well. So
Yeah.
we have a really unique setup that my wife's family and my mother-in-law Amy Moss started a dance studio 4 years ago now, and we have a ton of kids now and a competitive studio, and we're a musical theater pipeline. We have kids that have gone on to top universities and performed all over the place. And what I wanted to do is integrate like good, because it's such a unique setting. In almost every other performance setting, you get people for like 4 or 5 years at a time, right? You get like
Yeah.
middle school, and then they go to high school, and then they go to college, and it's like these 4 year segments.
Uh-huh.
At Moss, we get a kid from when they're 3 to 18 years old.
Wow.
And so the long-term athletic, this is like the buzzword in the industry, long-term athletic development potential for a program that can run for 10 years through when a kid's like 8 to 18 is
Mhm.
unreal. So I was like,
Mhm.
wait a sec, this is really, really cool. We have an incredible opportunity here. And so StageFit was the athletic development branch of Moss Performing Arts Academy that my wife has a personal trainer served me with my like PT and strength coach stuff.
Mhm.
We started it, and so now most of our competitive dancers get at least 1 hour of like strength and conditioning per week.
Mhm.
Um, in addition to StageFit having a lot of one-on-one and small group sessions where we can work on more specific like physical development and like like dance performance related aspects
Yeah.
with these kids and with these young performers. And to the point where now I'm so excited. Last year, we were able to hire for like pretty full time, like a director, like a StageFit director who's getting her degree in exercise, master's degree in exercise science at UC right now. Her name's Cody Rowe. She's a really, really cool gal. And she is able to now, the thing that I was able to start with is just start strength and conditioning. Cause in the performing arts,
Yeah.
like world, it's like you don't want to lift weights because you're going to get bulky. Like there was a lot of like myths that just like were not accurate to science.
Uh,
And like, mass props to like the Royal Ballet who hired a strength and conditioning coach. So like at the very top level of performance or, performing arts, they're starting to change this, and like Cirque du Soleil, of course. But in the average level, there's still a lot of bad history in the performing arts world, disordered eating patterns and like restrictive, like it's just the whole nine, right?
yeah.
And so it was a gamble for my mother-in-law to allow like these like human performance people in, because she was just like, this is taking away, initially it was taking away from time she could be getting from like, in dance development, right?
Yeah.
And then like another thing too is like integrating good medicine into like our studio, because crappy physicians and crappy medical providers would usually just not understand performing arts. And like if someone goes to get an injury,
Yeah.
they are like, I don't know, just wear a boot for 4 weeks, then you'll be good. That does it. That takes them out of class. So there's no incentive on the studio side to send kids to medicine if they're just going to get told, well, you're just going to sit out, because then they lose a whole month of revenue. So that's a problem for the studio. That sucks for the kid because they can't do anything. Like it's not good management either. And so StageFit is now like a bit of a medical liaison, as well as it is like it is the human performance wing of Moss Performing Arts Academy. So
Cool.
we have the medical liaison side, which I QB as the physical therapist. I treat a lot of our kids. I'll send them to Dr. Lee if need, send them to other physicians,
Mm-hmm.
QB that side. So, because there's a lot of, I mean, kids get hurt, right? And
Yeah.
we're doing high performance stuff. There's the strength and conditioning side that Cody is now kind of more running specifically. And what's really cool is instead of it being a siloed class now, with her being more full time, we are able to integrate it into the entire studio experience. So, like from a flexibility standpoint, because we know flexibility training is a lot more effective if it's done in small bouts frequently versus like all at once.
Yeah.
In every class, ballet, tap, jazz, at the end, there's a very specific stretching regimen that they'll do that's consistent across every class. So instead of every class doing different things and going for one result, we're starting to unify it with these like really good overarching exercise science concepts with the entire development span of the performer in mind.
Yeah.
And so it's this complete like world that I'm able to try things and use like my best, scientific knowledge with no limit, like, institutional limitations, because we own it. And
Yeah.
then the other part that's really exciting too is one of our incredible coaches, Paige Taylor, who was the captain of the UC dance team this past year, um, is has been working with me for like 2 years. She's also like huge into fitness. She's got her personal trainer credentials, and the collegiate dance team space is super, super, super competitive. And it's also, they're doing crazy stuff every
Mm.
year. There's more tricks that people are trying that like aren't real. And so like the level of physical preparation is very, very necessary. And so we have started like kind of not just like a branch off of StageFit, but like a spoke of StageFit that's really specifically dedicated towards developing like high school performers to be ready for a collegiate dance team, because it is like a whole new ball game from a physical like
Yeah.
requirement standpoint. And so we're launching a website in the next couple days with like downloadable strength and conditioning protocols, and like we're just going to keep building that project because it's like so ridiculously in demand. And you see this with these dancers coming from comp studios into collegiate competition. And so it's an incredible like world that we have built on
Yeah.
the side, because not a whole lot of people are doing it, and it needs to be done, because like there's a lot of performers and they're gonna start doing stuff,
Yeah.
and they're gonna get really hurt if they don't have a good back end for it. And so
Yeah.
that's our hope, that we
That's
can help to
fascinating.
that.
So you own your own facility? Is that
We work out of Moss Performing Arts Academy. So my
okay?
my family own well, we rent the space technically, but we have a big studio in Park Hills, and that's where we
Cool.
do all of our conditioning out of.
And you have one location,
One
right?
location currently, and then website online,
Yeah.
so downloadable content coming very, very soon.
Cool.
Yeah.
And it sounds like that's you are looking to expand based on the website and
Yeah,
whatnot.
well,
Or,
we want to so, Paige is an absolutely incredible performer, and so she'll be most likely, she's choreographing all around the world over the summer. So she just
oh,
graduated with her degree in exercise science. She's going to Italy and Canada and all these
wow.
other places, and is quite in demand. So what most importantly, like selfishly, I want to keep working with her. She's really awesome. And so I wanted to get away so that she can stay plugged into StageFit. And most importantly too, I can give her a way to market her like, specific skill set because she's so unique and like doing all of the exercise science background and being such an incredible performer herself and having the strength and conditioning background. Like just having started a couple of businesses myself, I know all the boring like back end shit that goes into
Mhm.
just like taxes and all that like blows.
Yeah.
I wanted to give her like the most direct pipeline towards like, scientific, academic, performance based knowledge out to all of the people that she's seeing, all the people she's choreographing for. And like, I want to take care of the back end because, like I'm saying, I love watching people do cool stuff and
Yeah.
I can guarantee you she's doing cool shit. So,
Mhm.
like, I just want to see her have that opportunity to do that and be able to, like, stay kind of involved because I think
Yeah.
she's done incredible things and I want to see where it goes.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, anything else about stage fit that you wanna talk about?
No, all the I mean, it was shout out to Moss for in the 2020 year when Iron Core couldn't go to any normal gyms, we were able to use the studio space, so that
Oh,
was pretty cool. So, yeah.
nice, okay.
Yeah, man.
Cool, okay, let's, let me ask you one, like, kinda hypothetical, um, disability-oriented question. So,
Sure.
this might open up a can of worms, but we'll see. So, talk to me about, like, the healthcare or
Yeah, you're right.
or education system. Let's pick one of those, and if you have a part 2, if you wanna come on again, you're obviously welcome to it at
Sure.
any point, but,
That is a can of worms for sure.
yeah.
All I can what I'll speak to on, like, the healthcare side, I'm gonna go to education.
Okay.
What I'm gonna talk about education is, like, what I've tried to do in my, like, both clinical practice by taking a bunch of students and an Iron Core is just, like, get real experiences earlier
Yeah.
and make it more tactile. Because it's like, if I like, if I didn't have, like it was very draining for me to take a bunch of gen eds and, like, not get to do anything because like, I
Mhm.
wasn't great academically, but, like, I love people. I love working with people. I love, like, actioning my legitimate experiences, and so, like, for example, being a personal trainer was a more helpful experience than any single class I ever took in undergrad because I was able to,
Wow.
like, work with people, and so all the academic stuff I was doing, I was able to then go directly translate into practice and, like, get it in my motor memory.
Yeah.
And so I think the second we start this health sciences like progression or like health progression, you need to have some real experiences to action the academic knowledge versus studying for 4 years and then like freaking out that you get to talk to your first person in a wheelchair. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
I want to get that as early as possible because then it gives context to all of the like academic slugfest that you're undergoing as like getting through freaking Gen Chem 2 and Bio 2 and you're learning about bean beetles and you're like, I don't care about bean beetles. I want to do sports. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
so I think that's the biggest change that could be made that I've tried to directly impact and want to see more like, significantly emphasized in education going forward.
Yeah. Yeah, the other interesting thing about that is like, you know, I'm sure a lot of PTs are going into it like, I don't know, like, I think I like this area, I think I like that area, but, like, getting them hands-on early on kinda really helps
Yeah.
them be
Then you
like,
get to know. I know.
"I hate this, I really like this."
Yeah, that would blow if you got to the end of PT. And like that is kind of that's well baked into the typical like doctoral curriculum because you
It's
have to do an inpatient rotation and an outpatient rotation, then you usually have some wiggle room on like your one or two additional ones.
sure.
But I don't know, I feel like if we did that in undergrad, that would also be really helpful because
Yeah,
by the time you get to PT school, you're already 4 years in. That's
right,
it's not 4 years you're getting back. So
right.
yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Well, we're at 2:51.
Yeah.
So, any future plans that you wanna talk about that you haven't already?
Yeah, oh, geez. No, no. I mean, like, I want to see Iron Core continue to succeed. There's a lot of cool stuff like in the works. As far as like just like, being more plugged in with like so I'm taking a more active like academic role at UC. I'm teaching most of the undergrad like the graduate health sciences students in their first year in like the gross anatomy lab. And so I want to be more integrated into the student development process. And I'm sure with that comes more specific opportunities for them at Iron Core because I know them better and able to provide better, like more tailored experiences for
Yeah.
them. And then like man, the Bridge, who's like an adjunct organization in Cincinnati, they are doing such incredible things,
Amazing.
insane. And so like the adapted community at large is really like, I mean, there's just cool stuff happening all the time. So
Yeah.
as being in the community and watching the community move forward, I'm sure we're gonna feel the right kind of fallout from that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Do you um it escaped me.
Yeah.
Anyway, what's one thing you hope people take away from our conversation today?
It's just like be a human is the real
Mm,
like best thing. Like the way that I hope that I interact with most of the people that I get to see on a day to day is like agnostic of what disability, what performance style you have, what you're into. It's like being able to legitimately connect with people and like figure out what gets them going and either come alongside that or help them achieve those goals is just extremely rewarding. So even if you're not in like a health facing thing, if you're just, you know, an engineer volunteering, like taking some of the time and like working on adaptive equipment or like contributing your unique skill set to a greater purpose is a
yeah.
very fulfilling thing. And like, even if I'm not, I mean, I make like super medium bucks as far as like physical therapist, like I'm doing just fine, but I'm not like, you know, rolling in the cash, but
Yeah.
I feel so fulfilled. And like, I frequently have to remind myself that like I should probably get paid for things because I just love doing them.
Yeah.
And so like, if people are interested in and like are looking for fulfillment, right? Like the energy spent on other people tends to give a lot of reward. And so like
100%.
that's hopefully can help a few people.
Yeah. Where can people support you, Iron Core, Stage Fit?
Yeah, StageFit, I mean, if you're happen to be a performing artist, like we have a new website launching pretty soon. It's going to be StageFit Performance, and there's going to be content coming out there. Ironcore, if you're a student in the Cincinnati area or an athlete and you want to get involved, we have a website. It's ironcorefitness.org. I can give you all this stuff too.
Yep.
If you're interested. Admittedly, I share a lot of things on Instagram. I don't do a whole lot of personal posting, but like my people are always doing cool stuff, so I try and like share
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So I'm Coach Dan DPT on Instagram. And then yeah, what is it? Stage Fit, Ironcore, yeah.
Yeah.
All those mediums are some various facet of my personality and involvement. So
I like it. Well, it's been fabulous having you on. It's been a lot of fun.
yeah, me too, man. I love this kind of
Yeah, it's I'm thrilled that you came on, and I you know we knew each other before this, but
yeah,
I wouldn't say super well, let's say,
sure.
and it's been fun just diving into your life and getting to know you better, and figuring out kind of hearing what makes you tick and
Thank
what you
you.
care about. So I really appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, likewise, man. Like your like motivation to get this started and like be a kind of like public facing voice in this space is really, really admirable. And I think it's gonna like give a more significant credence to just like the experience of a lot of people with or without disabilities that you work with. So thank you for
Yeah.
doing that.
Yeah, I hope so. Well, anything else you want to call out or say or anything like that before we sign off?
Oh my goodness. Well, thank you to Doctors Victoria Heasley, Dr. Lee, all of the people that have been like so instrumental in developing my Renee, like, you know, interest and like involvement in all of these things because it wouldn't have been possible without them.
Yeah, yeah, cool. Well, everybody, thank you for joining the Rolling Forward podcast. If you like what you heard, please hit that like button. It would mean the world to me if you subscribed. Also, anything that stood out that you want to comment on, I read all the comments at least for now. You know, I'm not big enough to not, so I read and respond to all the comments. So I'd love to hear what you think about Dan's story. Anything controversial that you heard that you don't agree with, like I'm fine with any sort of disagreements you have in the comments as well. Also, I have a t-shirt store. It's rollingforward.printful.me, and if you want to get this t-shirt, it's rolling with the punches with the guy punching in a wheelchair. He's punching a bag. It says rolling with the punches. If you want to get this, you can go to rollingforward.printful.me, and you can find a bunch of other t-shirts, including the podcast logo and anything else. So, and also if you are listening and you're like, man, I really want to come on the podcast, please reach out to me. You might be my next guest. Until next time, everybody oops. Until next time, everybody, keep rolling forward. Bye. That's the wrong button.
Oh
Okay,
no.
okay, bye, everyone.